Hello, everybody! If it's Wednesday, it's Warhammer, and that must mean it's time for another episode of Warhammer Weekly. Joining me, as always, is my one and only co-host Tyler. What's going on, brother? How you doing?
Good, man. Good to be here.
All right, wonderful. Uh, Also joining us this week, I'm so excited to have him back on the show. The man, the myth, the legend, maybe the greatest human being alive ever. I don't know. It's Doug from Two Plus Tough. What's going on, buddy? How you doing?
Hi, everybody. Thank you. That's very kind of you.
No,
I
I
just
don't
came
want to
through
overhype it.
sifting. I just came through sifting through community drama, so I do not feel like the nicest person. So whatever. It's been good.
No issue. We have brought in an expert. We've brought in Doug because tonight we're going to talk about New Year, New Army. We're going to talk about collecting new Warhammer armies. If you're thinking, hey, it's New Year, it's time for a new army, don't worry. We've brought in literally the best person for this. A man who flips armies as though it's his job.
Yes. Yep.
So we went straight to the source. So that's what we're going to talk about later on. But of course, first up, the news. Also, somebody out there who's watching, tell me how I sound. How does this sound? I spent a lot of time futzing with the sound over the weekend and wasted hours and hours of my life. So hopefully it's better now. We'll see. Tyler, take us through the news.
News, yeah. Rumor engine. I mean, as usual, when I'm on this show, I feel like it's just a 40K thing.
It's a 40K thing.
Yeah.
Yep. And I have no idea what it is. Some kind of vehicle, maybe. But yeah. So we can probably move right along. And next item, Fury of the Deep, going on pre-order. You guys interested at all?
No, not even a little.
I really want the lore booklet in it. That's it.
Yeah, sure.
But I'm not
Yeah,
willing
like
to pay anything for that.
Right, I like that snippet. They already gave me the perfect thing that I wanted, which was they gave the story snippet of the Skaven submarines blowing up the Fire Slayer place, which to me contains all the things I love, which is Skaven using tech and then killing dwarves. So I really don't. We've reached the mountaintop here, people. This is the pinnacle.
We can stop.
What else could possibly be in there?
Time to sunset the system and go on to something else.
That's right. Yeah. Either that or release those submarine dwarves. Or submarine Skaven. That's what I'm saying. All right. So yeah, no, I'm not interested in it. But we saw some rules for the new hero. Do you want to talk about that guy?
Yeah, Kellyan Fighting Stance, the Thrall Master. So looks like we might be, getting some of the elements that Namarti Thrall fans or would-be fans have been wanting for some time. 3 different stances. Start of the combat phase, pick one of the following stances. So you've got reroll hit rolls of 1, wholly within 12, one option. Got exploding 6s on modified 6s to hit, or 2 hits. And then my favorite, Way of the Vortex. Subtract 1 from wound rolls for attacks that target friendly Namarti units, wholly within 12. Yeah, pretty awesome.
Yeah, because every Deepkin player was like, you know what I'm jealous of? The Chaos War Shrine.
Yeah.
Never.
Sure.
It's fine. I'm not impressed, but it's fine.
I like
I
the
agree
win
with
roll.
Doug. Okay. Here's the problem. Here's the problem with this. Okay, I have 2 thoughts. These have been burning up my brain since I read this article. Tell me, gentlemen, what you think. Okay. Here's thought number 1. Yep. Slobbity Bilepiper and Spoilpox Scrivener were good design. Do we need to are we just going to copy pasta that for every foot infantry buff utility hero, where you get to choose between one of 3 quote-unquote stances, dances, songs, magical farts, like whatever, it doesn't matter, right? Is that just all we're doing now? This is the way to make utility heroes useful. You can do one of 3 things, but you'll probably always do one. Okay?
I mean... Yeah. What's his name? The little shaman guy from Bone Splitters. He was the OG. He was been doing that since round 1.
Oh, Iron Jaws.
No. It's the...
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. The Waz... What is that guy's name?
Wardock.
There it is. I knew it began with a W, but I was going to say he's the Wazadaka Jet. Nope, that's a 40K thing. All right. No, so one... Yes, fair. You've got me on that, Doug. But I think I would argue it's Slobbity and Scrivener that set the tone.
I was just playing with.
No, but you're right. You are absolutely right. But like deeper than that, like so like just aside from the copy pasta, I get it. Here's a utility thing. You know what I love? I can't wait till we just carry this to 1,000,000 and every army has like 4 guys that at the start of the combat phase, we all have to be like, hold up. Start of the combat phase. This guy's dancing his magical dance 1. This dude is doing his second magic fart. This guy over here is blowing the purple bubbles. And this guy over here is playing the flute, not the trombone this turn. So then my people get a +1 to save.
I was going to say, reroll 1 battle shock.
Right, exactly, yeah.
Right.
I look forward to that bit of nonsense. But at a deeper level, how, Tyler, did we... How did we have 3 options and none of them were extend the reach of the Namarti by 1
Oh God,
inch?
right? Well, I mean, surely it's going to be on the War Scroll, the new War Scroll coming up.
You know
but
what?
yeah.
You're right. It's not here because the new War Scroll in the new book will just say Namarti Thralls 2-inch reach. There you go.
Yeah.
You're right. That's why they didn't need it here. So we're good.
It's got to be. Yeah. Very distracted by purple bubbles. I'm really interested in what.
Tell me we're not the colored bubble blower. We need to see at some point in time. I don't know what model this rule belongs to, but sometimes you hit upon a rule and you just got to find a home for it. This is it. Whoever's blowing magical bubbles. Why are there not more magical bubbles? So there we go. Make it happen.
Absolutely.
GW. Heavy D6 says so. Every army is getting a bard. Yes, that's it. We've just discovered that like the useful utility hero is just bards. It's just bards. Okay.
Now the Ossiarch Bone Reapers surprisingly are getting a Tome Celestial.
Yes.
They have been one of the rumored battle tomes with more tech archers this year. So
Oh, interesting. Okay.
yeah. I have not. I don't know if you guys have seen anything. Vince, have you seen anything? Any details? I haven't seen any details yet.
I have not seen any details. I assume that this is bad news, unless this is going to be a rather significant Tome Celestial. Meph, I know, baby. That's right where my head went to. I'm with you, Meph. That's what I want to see. Import that. But you know, I don't see any reason not to believe that people who get a Tome Celestial basically don't have a battle tome coming anytime soon. Okay. Does it have to be that's the case? No. But is it logical for that to be the case? Yes. So I think now our hope has fallen back to this better be a pretty meaty Tome Celestial that really delivers a lot of change. I'm not positive.
Yeah.
What's the one that you guys have found the most interesting? Because like as far as Tome Celestial goes, I guess Soul Blight Grave Lord's probably the, but that's just because it's the army I see the most, so I'm a little bit biased. But
yeah, that was the first one that comes to my mind. Yeah, Soul Blight.
I baseline, Doug. I hate all Tome Celestials.
Oh, good.
Because that should not be where rules are delivered to people. The number of times that I talk to people and they don't even know that they have rules for their army in a physical publication in 2022. Okay. Now, that being said, it's definitely Soul Blight, right? Because, yeah, it was actually cool. They did cool stuff with Legion of Blood. Like, that was super neat. And it was a sort of underwhelming subfaction. It was like a super cool subfaction. Like narratively, we all love the Tome of Blood. Sorry, the Legion of Blood. And I was yeah, man, that's cool. Like it's the coolest thing. It kind of felt read underwhelming. I don't even mean like power level wise. You just read it and you were like, I don't get it. Right? Like, what does this do? When you read Avangori is underpowered, but you read Avangori and you're like, this sounds awesome. I know exactly what this is all about. Like, yeah, man, let's do this. Let's get some terror guys on the table and start screaming, right? Like, it sounded fun. You read Legion of Blood. It didn't have that kick. Now it does. So I think that was why.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and last but not least, Adepticon registration is now officially open.
Mm-hmm.
So, folks are interested, yeah, get your tickets.
Are you guys going?
Yeah. I'm in, but I'm in, buddy. I'm in.
I'm debating. We'll see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tyler will be there.
Sadly, I will not be making the trip this year, but
Yeah.
I'm a little bummed about it. But that's all right. We'll come back. I'll see you guys next year.
Yeah, obviously everything going on, everybody understands if people are just, opting out this year.
Sure,
But,
sure,
yeah.
of course. More than
So-
fair. I'm just saying Tyler will be there.
Sure, fair enough.
Doug, you're okay. I get it. That's perfectly fine. But I will expect you there in 2023. So, there you go.
Yes. Well, for those of you who
Otherwise,
don't
I'm
know,
gonna
like
have
my
to
wife.
make a longer. I understand. Otherwise, I saw your reason. Totally logical.
Yeah.
Completely understandable. Sounds actually very interesting. As a matter of fact, what you're doing instead.
Oh yeah.
So, and if it's going to help your wife succeed in her career, then that's super awesome. Or even just be fun for her in her career, then that's awesome.
Exactly.
But Tyler has no similar excuse. So,
I mean, I should throw you a bone every once in a while in terms of peer pressure. It generally never works, but maybe throw you a bone and give in
you're
once.
resistant. But I haven't had to I haven't really turned the full weight and might on you yet. NashCon was
I've
just
heard of this.
guilt tripping. That was nothing.
This famed Mr. Vince Venturella, guilt trip capacity, and okay, I'm excited.
The crucible you will pass through. At any rate, it's gonna be exciting. Thank you to everybody who bought tickets for the classes. That's super awesome. I was very surprised to log in like 2 minutes in to see that like all my classes were full. So that's great. Thank you to everyone. I'm very excited to see you all in person again after many years. I'm excited for Golden Demon. I'm super excited for Adepticon, and so got my N95s ready to go, buddy. I'm lock, stock, ready to rock.
What classes are you teaching this year? Like what kind of?
A blending class, a metals class, and a faces class. That sounds right off the top of my head.
Okay, cool.
I'll believe that. All right.
That's
what
it?
else we got? That's it. All right, there we go. Cool. News done. Vince suddenly remembers he has to timestamp stuff. All right. Let's talk about some pick of the week. Doug, what would you like to share with everybody this week?
I'm going to go with my good friend Doom and Darkness. I hope that I stole yours, Vince. He put a video out that I really was talking about being like a filthy casual as he comes possibly to the hobby. So he took hiatus and kind of reassess stuff. And he just has a wonderful video being like where he's at in the hobby. And I just really appreciate it. I'm happy. So, yeah.
I love that. Yes, it was a great video. I fully support it, and it talked about how you've got to find the right hobby for you. Right? I know that's a journey I think all of us have gone through at some point in our life, and it's really nice to watch Doom share it and his own journey with it. I can't wait till his own worst nature takes over him, and 6 months from now he's just knee deep in competitive trashing again. It's swings and roundabouts in life. Tyler, what do you got?
Yeah, so your longtime only co-host on Lions had an amazing show with Coach talking to Gash and Night Hunt. So if folks have missed that, definitely check it out. Tom knows what he's talking about when it comes to Night Hunt and Gash. So then we had the Dies podcast. I don't know if I mentioned them on the show before. So this is a crew, I think part of the Wisconsin crew in general. Nick, Justin, some other guys. Melnick has been on the channel. Yeah, they've been putting out a lot of great battle reports, and they just had a discussion about the Battle Scroll and a Nurgle Battletome review. That was really good. And surprise, surprise, Vince, they're fans of Beast of Nurgle, incidentally. And just play. Maybe this will be the last show. I'll give you crap about Beast of Nurgle. We can,
It's all right.
put a bow on
It's all
this.
right.
I think you've taken enough. Just play Magakin of Nurgle versus Soulblight Grave Lords. The original crew, Jim and Richie, they had an amazing battle report. Yeah, and again, certain War Scroll featured heavily in the Nurgle army. So yeah, great game. Yeah, that's it.
Great game, great list. All right. My pick of the week is going to be slightly orthogonal toward what we would normally talk about here, but I truly, truly enjoyed this article. So this is actually, I have it linked down in the description already, but it's a Goonhammer article about 40K. Now, this is not about AOS. It is an article called "What Even Is 40K Anyways?" And it's more or less just an expression of the current state of 40K and the challenges with 40K's design. And I thought it was highly sort of illustrative of the problems of that game. And what I hope never comes to AOS, basically.
Ooh.
And it was fascinating because reading through the comments, I mean, obviously people have self-selected into that to read that article and get all the way through it and then leave a comment. But reading through the comments on the Goonhammer article, a bunch of people were like, yeah, that's why I left 40K and I'm now playing AOS. Because the game plays like it feels like it should. And it was just very interesting, the points they brought up as to the nature of what can lead a game down a bad road. Obviously, the article is not specifically addressing game design in a sort of traditional thing.
Oh, Vince,
Yeah, cutting out. Vince, you're cutting out big time.
oh.
He'll notice here in a minute. Vince, you're cutting out a lot. If you can hear me, sorry to interrupt, bud. You're cutting out a lot. Or it could be on our end. Okay.
I don't know. Oh, okay, we got some F's in the chat. So I'll fill time while he's doing that. Right now.
Sorry, did it
Yeah,
cut
okay,
out
never
on me?
mind.
Oh.
Yeah. You were like, let me say one thing, and then you just went out.
Nope, that's fine. I don't know why that happened. I'm not sure what's going on there. Like, okay.
Oh, I love that.
She gets
GW, cut the mic.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's,
exactly.
All
All
right.
right.
He's slandering the moneymaker.
Yeah. So, anyways,
man.
I in trying to get my sound to work, I had to switch over and use a bunch of new controls, and then it just seems to like it works fine for hours and hours and nothing changes. But then on this, who knows? So I'll look into it. Maybe there's something else I need to turn on. Anyways, yeah, it's an interesting article, not on game design, like not on game design specifically, but about user experience with a game that doesn't seem as user friendly anymore. There you go.
Gotcha.
What-
That's a
I mean-
great one.
Was there like one? Is there a top level item in terms of the answer to?
The layers. The layers became too many.
Okay,
That's the top
interesting.
level item. The war scrolls basically mean nothing, or whatever they call them, beta slates or whatever.
Yep.
So
Always want to. I thought it'd be interesting. We might have talked about this before. Interesting to have that discussion on the show sometime. You know, have like try to get Lawrence from Tabletop Tactics on the show. He's a really thoughtful guy. You know,
Yep.
but try to have that conversation with some 40K players, and be curious to hear their perspective on AOS. It's just always fascinating to me because, like the Tabletop Titans guys, you know, they play AOS on their channel, and they really know 40K well, and seem to think it's, you know, pretty good game from a balance standpoint. But they tend to have some skewed perspective on AOS. So it's like I wonder if a lot of us fall into that trap as well, you know, because maybe we're less familiar with 40K. But anyhow, I just think it'd be an interesting conversation.
Yeah,
to have.
sure. No, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, so gentlemen, let's move on because this is not going to be a long show. Let's talk about some hobby time. Doug, what are you working on there?
Right now, I actually have a set of Vigilors on my table. Clipping them out right now as much as I can. I have very little shooting, and I have lots of things to shoot in my local meta. How about that? So you know, I mean, obviously, people are like, well, you know, just add Vanguard Raptors. It's the recipe for everything, and I don't want to do that, but we'll see.
No,
I don't want to start
the.
the arms race.
That's the right answer. You've chosen wisely. No, I love that. Tyler, did you paint anything this week?
Of course not. Of course not. We had a yeah. Streak continues,
Mm-hmm.
and it shall always and forever. Had a one-dayer on Saturday. That was a lot of fun. Had a good turnout for that. And had a good outing with Iron Joss, so that was nice. Shout out to Steve and Tracy for making the trip. They came down from Partners of War. Got to play both Steve and Tracy. Tracy had the All Dragons, All Dragons list, 2 Knight Draconis, and 8 Storm Drake Guards. That was interesting, playing that for the first time. She got unlucky with her rolls on the breath attacks. I think if she got a little luckier, she would have had it.
It's a real swingy element.
Yeah, absolutely.
My hobby time has been busy working on a million things, but specifically, this guy right here is almost done. This is Chadakar, the Beast. I've just got his base to do. He's going to be a tutorial on doing vampire skin.
Oh, cool.
And I really enjoyed painting this little duder. He was fun. I liked him quite a bit. And then also, as I mentioned, I spent hours screwing with my audio and thought I had it perfect, recording a bunch of stuff. Who knew? You guys should just talk intermittently every few minutes, because if you talk and I can hear you, I know it's okay. I don't know when I stop talking. I watch my levels over here now. But also, Tyler, I played 3 games on Saturday. One of which I piloted Nurgle for, just to get some more experience there, and took out LRL with that.
Nice. What'd you run in your Nurgle?
Kind of whatever I had. It was like 10 Plague Bearers and a Scrivener, 2 units of Blight Kings, Orgots, Gut Rot, 3 Plague Drones, 2 Plusco Blight Lords, Lord of Blights or whatever, the 3-up foot guy, and a Sorcerer, the Rotbringer Sorcerer. And it was great. So I had no big central power piece. He had some Sentinels, but there was nothing for him to really focus on. Having the 5-up ward was amazing. It just kept everything fighting and going and being around. The Plague Drones were MVP, as I exactly expected.
All right, you're 1 for 2.
They were fantastic. They were fantastic. Yeah, they held up like a whole side of the board, screwed around, threatened an objective, retreated out. It was great. It was fantastic, and then just it was wonderful. They did everything I wanted. They threw a bunch of disease on a big dumb stone guy that then slowly died for the rest of the game. It was wonderful.
How many Sentinels?
He had 20 Sentinels, so it wasn't too bad.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. He wanted to stay friends.
Yeah, it was like 20 Sentinels. He was actually using 2. I mean, it wasn't like a super hard LRL list, but he had, the Cathalar and 20 Wardens and Sentinels and 20 Sentinels and a bunch of stuff like that. So, anyways, it was a real fun game. Then I played 2 games with my Stormcast, and those were both real good, both against Knights of the Empty Throne. The first game was over very fast. I won on the top of 1. So,
Lord,
how do you like to run your Stormcast?
So in this case, I was running a potential 2K list that I'm interested in. Okay. It's all melee, but I mean, there's plenty of shooting. It's just all breath weapons. But this was like 4 Fulmies, Karzarai, 2 Dragons, 5 Vindictors, a Lord Castellant, a Knight Incantor, a Lord Relictor, who was the general with a Mirror Shield and High Priest. And the 3 of them were just in a triangle around Krondus, who would just buff him. Or not Krondus, around Karzarai, and just be like, go, big dragon, go, you're the best. And then he and the Fulminators and the dragons would go in and just wreck the house. So, yeah. The breath weapons were extremely swingy. They're so, because all that combined, I have a bunch of breath weapons. They're just so swingy. Sometimes it was okay. Sometimes it was all right. So.
Cheer that, my friend Bryce is in the chat. Cheer that, Bryce. Everybody agrees. Breath attacks are not shooting attacks. Move on with your life. The argument's over.
The number of times that I got 0 mortal wounds out of or like 1 or 2 out of a good round of shooting, I was like, But then it wouldn't matter. Karzai went in and just like the reason that game ended is because at the top of 1, I blew up his screens enough with shooting. Like I didn't get them all down because I played kind of, the shooting didn't work out, but I got enough to get everything into the Knights of the Empty Throne, blew up the Knights of the Empty Throne themselves and everything around them. So like by the end of my turn, like the unit of Chaos Knights was evaporated, the 6 Varangard were evaporated, one of his 2 heroes had died, and all of his chaff was dead. So he was just like, and I had lost nothing. And I had pinned him into his deployment zone. So
yeah. It's interesting the initial reaction to Karazai, man. Like, yeah, he seems money.
Oh, he's so money, baby. You don't even know it. He's over there with these big claws and these sharp teeth, and he's like, how do I kill this little bunny? He's so money, baby. I love him. You just got to get him on 2s and 2s. That's the key.
Yeah, that's a good list.
Is he a sad panda on anything else?
No, I mean he's okay if he has to go to like, because his main attack is always on like 1s or 2s. He's very like unless somebody has mortal wound spray, he tends to stay pretty high wounds. But like you don't get the maximal value on 3s to wound.
Gotcha.
That's what it comes down to. Like he needs to do a lot of work at 600 points, not like as a pure combat monster for 600 points. Right?
Yeah.
He has no spellcasting or other utility. He's there to kill. That's it. That being said, there was a round in the next game where I killed 2 heroes. Like I split his attacks and killed 2 heroes, and he RPG leveled up twice, and then like +2 attacks to everything. And I was like, well, it is officially on now.
There you go.
It is on. So, anyways, that was my weekend: painting Chadakar and playing a bunch of Warhammer. So, can't complain.
Nice.
All right. So much for my commitment to be fast because I had to tell my dumb story.
No. I prompted it. I asked you about Stormgast.
That's all right. All right, gentlemen, shall we get into the main thing here? Let's talk about New Year, new army. Let's do this. Ba-boom. Okay.
I'm so jealous of that head of hair, Doug. You have no idea.
This?
We're just getting
this
good
old
view.
thing? Yes.
Getting a good view of it as you're looking down the whole time.
Uh-huh.
Soak it in. Shaken or stirred, it always goes down smooth.
Just drink in those luscious locks, baby. Okay. Setbrander, did we ever cover the Soul Blight update? Yes, we did. At one point, we talked it through. We can. I'm sure the next time we do Soul Blight in detail, we will dive even deeper. All right. I'm gonna lay down some ground rules. You ready, gentlemen? Okay. Here are the ground rules. New year, new army. This is our imaginary scenario. It's 2022. You, the audience, are thinking of starting a new army. You know what you should also be thinking about as we start this? Hitting that like button, hitting subscribe, hitting all those buttons. Fun stuff. That's so much easier than starting a new army. Almost basically no cost. Just click that like. So, we're going to break this into like 4 phases. Before you buy, what to buy, the painting or the buying process, and getting it on the table. Because not all armies are. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say, can you define those last 2 a little clearer for me?
Yeah, buying process means like, who are you going through to buy? How are you buying it? Like the methodology to buying it, which I think is actually like, where you're getting it from, right? I think you and I probably have a lot of different thoughts on that, some of which overlap. But there's like, the point is you don't just have to like go out and buy all the things from the GW website for a 2K army all at once.
Yeah, fair enough.
Getting it on the table is like, how do you attack that? Right? All right, and then because I think the reality is not all armies are equally easy to get started. Finding the right alignment of playstyle, aesthetics, cost, and time investment can be a challenge because you have to align those 4 things to your sensibilities. Right? We're going to cover this from both the angle of new players, first army, and existing players, second army. All right, Doug, before we go on to anything else, I want to start here with you. You've painted and flipped a lot of armies because talk about like your outlook on the hobby and like how you think about this because it's so completely antithetical to mine.
So for me, so when I look at painting projects, I look at each army as its individual project. And so I get excited about an army. I find a good deal online, usually like swapping it out with something um, that I already have or whatever, like a trade or selling and that kind of thing. And then I just jump into it whole hog. And when I'm bored of it, I just kind of brush my hands and throw it up online and repeat the process. um, I don't like clutter. I can't collect things in the same way that other people do. I just don't like it. The biggest army I have right now is, I guess my third Stormcast army that I have now is tied with my second that I had before. How about that? So in terms of sheer size, but yeah, that's me.
Yeah, it's amazing to me how easily and like to you, painting is not. You're not painting it to have this collectible for the rest of your life. You're painting it
No,
because you
no.
like the process of painting.
Yes.
It's something you enjoy, so it doesn't matter. Like, yeah, you mentioned
Hmm.
this is your third Stormcast army. That means you've painted two other Stormcast armies. You don't look at it
Hmm.
like a chore. You look at it like something to do, something to that's like, oh, this is some unwinding. Do a stream maybe for
Hmm.
some of it. That kind of thing, right? Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. So, and I only paint the stuff that I'm interested in painting. So, I'll go to events. Like I used to go to weekend events with my buddy Jack from Rerolling Ones a couple of times, and like I do terrible, but I have a blast. So I'm there for painting projects and making people feel excited about their dice rolls. That's about it.
Nice, nice. Now, Tyler, you're perhaps maybe exactly the opposite.
Right.
Because you spend a long time thinking about armies before you get into anything, right? And you're very tactical, detailed. You pick whatever word
Yes.
you like about sort of the army you're going to collect, right? You,
Yeah.
you don't go by whim. Some of Doug's choices might or might not be made by whim. I'm just saying.
Oh yes, many, many, most. I always tell people I don't do commission painting, but I'm like, hey, if you want me to paint an army for you, just get me really freaking excited about it, and then wait for that, the stock to crash and cash in.
Right. That's great. I love that.
So Tyler, what's your sort of process?
Yeah, it's definitely very different. And yeah, doing commission, not painting, definitely and high quality commission, it forces me to obviously be a lot more selective unless, I want to try to drop tens of $1,000s into this hobby, which I don't want to do. So yeah, like I did that with Sylvaneth. They went through sort of like 3 stages of play testing, figuring out kind of I mentioned to you this concept of core template war scrolls
Mm-hmm.
can be shared across a lot of different lists. So the latest example of this has been Stormcast.
Hmm.
I've now, since the Stormcast Battletome came out, I've probably played 50 some games like a ton of games with Stormcast, and quickly knew that, all right, you know, special snowflake syndrome means that I cannot run long strikes because everybody runs long
Yes,
strikes. I
join me.
cannot, yeah, I can't run dragons because everybody runs dragons. Now I'm breaking the rule a little bit I do have some fulminators. As I've gone down the route of melee. We're all in alignment here around melee Stormcast. I love it. Get
Mm-hmm.
into it, folks. Yeah. So figured out, kind of like what are my core template of war scrolls that can then be played across a variety of lists. And Stormcast makes it easy because they have such an incredible selection of heroes that you can then
Yep.
plug and play. Yeah. Have these varied lists and they have different sub facts. Gardas gives you Hallowed Knights, etc. So it's a lot of kind of testing and trying to get something to at least that kind of 4-1 place that I tend to like to try to hang out in terms of competitiveness. At least that's the story I tell myself. So yeah, that's basically it. Iron Jaws doesn't follow that rule because somebody gifted me a couple people gifted me an Iron Jaws army. So yeah.
Aw.
And they turned out to be quite powerful. Looks like we're having some issues with audio again.
Yeah, it kept dropping. I think it's okay
Oh
now.
shit. Okay.
Nope. Yeah, it should be okay now.
Okay, cool.
I don't know what is going on there. I'll
Mm.
look into it. It worked fine in all my hours of tests, but of course, as soon as we do the show,
I don't
This
believe
is-
you, Vince.
yeah, why wouldn't I have a problem now? All right. So I'm just watching my levels over here constantly. If you see me looking to the right, because the levels drop out suddenly if it's not getting sound.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have to restart the audio engine for no apparent reason.
There we
Okay.
go.
So let's keep going.
Cody, that's exactly right, man. Can't run 15 bow snakes, so I run 10.
Yeah, totally
See
fair.
no issue with that.
It's the fair
Completely
version.
fair.
Yeah, absolutely. All right.
That's how that works.
Finding the right army. Okay, let's talk about before you buy in general. We're going to get through all the individual armies, but let's do the before you buy part. So here's my potential ways. Everybody's going to have to find their own road to this. But this is my tips and tricks of things you may want to think about. Tell me what you think here, gentlemen. Okay? Play the armies you're interested in before you buy them. And this means you could proxy them. You could just use blank bases. You could borrow your friend's army. Anything like that. Right? Do you play at all before? Tyler, obviously you just walked us through. You do. You've played it a ton. Right? Doug, do you ever play anything before you buy it just to get a sense of it? What it plays like?
No, I hardly play after I buy it. No, I generally don't. I think the closest thing I've done is like sometimes when I was hanging out with the Rerolling One guys, I would pilot one of their armies that I haven't played, even though sometimes I painted it, and then try it there, and I'd be like, okay, that's an interesting idea, but no, I never go out of my way to do so.
Okay, gotcha. Do you feel that's ever burned you? Like where you got it and then you did play it and suddenly it was like, oh, this plays a lot different than I was expecting.
Not off the top of my head. Let me look at the faction list to see if I actually remember everything I've played. Possibly Fire Slayers. Just I'm not even sure I remember what it was, but there was something about them. I got like I think 50 of them done. It's pretty much one of the only armies I've painted, sold to Jack, and I've never been interested in getting back. I was like, nope, Fire Slayer's done.
Gotcha. Nice. All right. Here's my next one. Here's my next before you buy. Think of a like 1K list, a 2K list, the units you like. By the way, it might not even have to be 1K, especially if you open up the world of Path to Glory, right? Yep. Where you can get away with 500-600 points. So think about the army at those kind of different levels and kind of make some lists, right? That you think you'll like based on what you know about the army and see how that feels to you. Is this going to be something I'm going to want to put on the table? Is this too much of a painting challenge? Right? Is it going to be annoying for me to actually play and practice? You're like, oh, Gloomspite Gits are so cool. They're so super cool. I want to play Gits. And then you make up your 2K list and you're like, oh my God, I'd have to move 120 goblins around the table or something, right? You're like, let me actually go ahead and look at this again. Nah, we're going trolls. Right? You know,
yep.
So maybe you're still in Gits, but you pick a different list, right? Something like that. So you understand what the painting looks like, the potential cost looks like, kind of, and how it's going to feel. What do you think about that?
That I agree with. I always I do list build before I do anything. Mainly because when you look at battle tomes, like they'll have a lore section that I'm a sucker for and I fall in love with, and then the rules are supposedly, generally speaking, about how to make an army that's like that. So if you like Bone Splitters, you do a ruck or something like that. And so I do plan out my purchases in that way, so that way I don't get too bogged down. I think the only army I've been burned by for not doing that has been Skaven.
Okay.
And I will save my Skaven story when we get to that army.
Yes, indeed. Oh, we're going to have some fun there.
It's a trap!
All right.
So what about you, Vince, by the way? I'm actually not that familiar with what your process is in terms of getting started with an army.
Oh my God, I think so much about it. I do all this and more. Yeah. Yeah.
You have like spreadsheets and...
It's not as much that. It's more just like I really, really think about it for a long time. Like, yeah, I built a Smashbat list and painted that in 24 hours, but that was after like 2 months of thinking about it a lot and deciding that it would be a fun project to make a video out of, and a thing that, and like hunting for 3D prints as alternative models that I could use, and looking at the version of the list that I wanted, and proxy playing it 2 or 3 times, right? Like, it was a lot. And and then all the stars aligned on that, and I did it, and it was fun. It was a super fun project. It made it made a super fun video. But when it comes to an army, there has to be like a real fire to it for me. The only exception is this stupid Soulblight Gravelord's army I'm accidentally building. There's no intentionality there.
You're building a Soulblight Gravelord's army.
Not intentionally. It just keeps happening. I just keep accidentally painting units. Yeah,
okay.
like I have no intention of collecting that army. I'm not actively collecting that army. Okay?
Sure. Yeah.
I just ran, like, here we are. Here's stupid Shadowcar. There he is. Like, he's painted.
Right. I was wondering,
I
like, why
did
are
it.
you... Yeah.
He just showed up at my house, and I was like, well, might as well paint him. Seems like fun. Somebody reached out to me and was like, hey, I've got this model, and I'd love to see you make a video out of it. And I was like, I can make a good video out of vampire skin. That'd be cool.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It seems like a super cool model. And so, I've done skeletons and zombies and some of the heroes and stuff just accidentally, because I had Cursed City and other stuff.
Yeah. This is fascinating. So a model just shows up at your house and you paint it. I'm going to have to remember this.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I'm not sending this back out to anyone, so there's a giant flaw in your plan. That is some underpants gnomes level planning, because you're missing a very very important step 2 there.
Yeah, fair enough.
At any rate, so here's my last thought. Watch some content or read some content about it.
I'd agree with
that. Lore, battle reports, whatever, right? There's a lot of content on all these armies out there. How they play, what their story is, watch some painting videos on painting some of the units so you get a good idea of it. All that kind of stuff. Look at paint schemes for other people who've painted the army. Get inspired, right? I find you want to work much more on an army when you are thoroughly inspired about it, right? Like with the Ratcast, obviously I had this huge focus coming down from this narrative, from this lore, from this color scheme with Skig, and that drove me through what would otherwise be insurmountable. Painting that army has been like one of the great challenges of my life, which I guess means I've lived a blessed life. But I mean, like, it's infuriating to paint those. I did 2 of those dragons. They took more than 50 hours, and by the end, I was just ready to, break my brushes and never paint again. But I got them done. And I was like, now we're done. I got enough dopamine to carry me on. All right, whatever. So yeah, but get into it is my point. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
Please
no, I was going to say one thing I was going to add to that is like finding things that get you excited about the army is super important. Because when you hit those painting walls, yeah, you can definitely like brush up and stuff. So that's what you said. And I super appreciate it. Another thing I would say is just when you're working for the initial painting, go for like a minimum viable product. Like let's say you build your 2,000 point tournament lists, right? Play the first 500 that's painted and legal, because actually seeing it on the board and getting used to those interactions is the dopamine hit that's going to help you. You're going to go home and be like, yeah, I have Gloomspite Gits, but I could do 20 more Grots. I mean, you just kind of get that little reward for doing it.
100% agree. Yeah. Totally agree with that. All right. So, get that inspiration, get into it, test it, make sure it aligns with you, how you think about the game, the experience you want to have, the commitment you're willing to make. And that happens through this. Somebody mentioned, I saw in the comments, they keep an inspiration folder. Yep, great idea. I use inspiration folders all the time for projects. Like, I'll just find art or other models or just cool images that I think would be neat to inspire me while I'm painting that army or picking my color scheme. Right?
I have never heard of that. That sounds awesome.
Like when I did the cities army, I had pictures of like industrial boilers and like rusting paint and stuff like that had nothing to do, just stuff that I had found on Google Images that all went into my inspiration folder for that army. Right?
That's rad.
So because you can draw inspiration from anywhere. Okay. All right, next up. What to buy. And here's so I think we're going to deviate from probably what a lot of people do here. Don't boil the ocean is the headline. You can get a great deal of fun without buying every kit all at once, right?
You
Like
would.
you've got Path to Glory, requires usually like a getting started box or something like that in that general vicinity. You got Teams games, 1K a piece. Plenty of people play Teams. I play Teams most weekends at my house. It's great fun. 1K, 1.5K, whatever, right? Lower points investment for you to get started. Prioritize the staples that you need: heroes, battle lines, solid units that play in a strategy you want to play, right? In the way, not the way somebody told you the army's supposed to play. All three of us just talked about melee Stormcast. We're all in on this. Everybody else you go to is going to talk about Vanguard Raptors. There ain't a Raptor in this group, and all three of us play Stormcast. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Quite the stereotype.
Yeah, and I have tremendous fun playing that army. Okay, I don't need to worry about that. And then my last piece of advice here is stay away from the hottest meta pick or bent units, as it's likely they're fixed within 6 months by the time you have the army on the table. Right?
Agreed.
Like, you understand that you're going to have a lead time. And by the time you get that crap on the table, if you're like, oh, this thing is so bent, I'm totally going to get on it. Okay, well, enjoy not playing it while it's bent when it's fixed. By the time you get that crap on the table. So yeah, like I think that really, and I think Doug, I love your point. You can play these small things like getting a 500 point starting Path to Glory or whatever, or play some teams games or play smaller games, and that provides you the fuel to like, all right, I'm gonna keep going, keep painting, keep getting a new unit, right? Go buy a new kit, get that painted, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it is. Tyler, what do you think about this? Like, I know because you're different. By the time you get to actually purchasing for you kind of front load all this work, right? Because you've already played it so much, you want your whole 2K list, so you're okay to go in and buy the whole thing, right? But you've staved off that big purchase.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of sequential. Yeah. Step one, figure out the list of components, heroes, what you said there in your third bullet point. Step two, go essentially buy everything at once, and then move forward from there. And then also, I really tend to like to play a list or a couple of lists to death. I like stick with and particularly a faction, like focus on one faction at a time. So, it's going to take a while with the Stormcast army because this is the year of Ironjaws. I actually, I haven't played a single tournament yet with Ironjaws, and they're incredible right now. So it'll be a little while before I actually get the Stormcast going. But anyhow, I think you nailed it here with this slide.
Cool. Awesome. Doug, did I miss anything?
Nope. That's all my suggestions as well.
All right, rock on. Okay. The buying process. All right. So here's where we get into the buying process. The same headline, by the way. This is all under the don't boil the ocean thing. Okay. New in-box with discount. Lots of retailers offer a standard discount. If your friendly local game store does, look into it. Lots of friendly local game stores do. Then you can support local and get a discount. Like, I'm going to be honest, I don't know why anybody pays retail ever for GW stuff. No offense to GW. I'm sure a lot of people want to, like, sometimes they have online only stuff you have to order from them. Fine.
Yep.
But like in mass market availability, I would always shop local or shop with a vendor or a friend or somebody that has a discount. Period. Because then you're just like you're saving money and supporting your store if it's a good store. Like if you have a real awful store, then don't support them. But otherwise, it's great. eBay or secondhand. Doug, this is where you're living. All right, this is this kind of idea.
Yeah. Yep. I'm like a corduroy jacket away from being a used car salesman, but with armies. But yes, I do lots of eBay, Facebook groups, and a few Reddits. I've done mini swap on Reddit as well. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. There's like AOS, buy, swap, and sell, the Facebook group. Obviously, you've got eBay, but like secondhand, as I said here, like look local first. I mean, how many times, Doug, have you found somebody local who wants to move away from an army and maybe you trade them or you purchase it off them, you pick it up off them or whatever, right? And then it still stays in your local group.
Yep.
right?
That's half of the re-rolling ones factions that they have.
Nice.
Nice. Alternative models, 3D printing. I mean, let's be honest, the world we live in has changed. Like, there's a lot of incredible 3D prints out there. You can, if you don't have a 3D printer, you can order, them printed from people. You don't have to necessarily print them. If you do have a printer, you can. That's super cool. But there's just so many amazing vendors and sculptors out there making additional options, right? And these can be, oftentimes very reasonably costed alternatives to expensive kits, right? And I don't think yeah, sure. Can you go to an event at
Oh, we lost you, buddy.
Yeah. You're cutting in and out, bud.
Let me mansplain this. What he means to say is help a brother out before you start going and buying stuff on the interwebs.
Right. Right. Yeah, so you've got these like 3D kits and so on and so forth, 3D prints. Yeah, you're not going to go to Warhammer World, but you're going to play in your, in your local, you're going to play in your basement. Let's be honest, or your local store or whatever, most of the time. Right? That's what it is. Okay. All right. And then, again, just to reiterate the point, you don't have to buy all at once, right? A few kits at a time are perfectly acceptable as you build your force.
Absolutely. And I recommend it.
All right.
On the second hand, World Trader is one that's been really popular. I've heard, some of my friends locally, they've been using them with great success. I'm not sure whether I know they're not in the United States, so you run the risk of having some models damaged. But I actually finally got on there and looked at Troll Trader. Have you ever looked at there, Doug? TheTrollTrader.com.
No, it sounds familiar. What does that sound familiar?
Yeah. And it's just secondhand marketplace, and I mean they've got amazing deals. Like
cool.
sometimes you can find on there, painted stuff. I mean it's of varying quality, but there's obviously risk that something get damaged in international shipping. But yeah, one of my friends, he's used them a lot and been pretty satisfied with it. But
nice.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. So
Very nice. All right, and then my last one on this summary, getting it on the table. Here we go. You ready? This is where I'm going to lose people, I know, but it's okay. This is it.
Oh, way too fast this show, guys. Like, we're not even at an hour into this thing. We're going to have to slow this down.
No, we're going fast.
Start thinking up some tangents, some stories.
Nope. We're moving, Tyler. We're moving.
We'll have to work on it here. All right.
Make the time. So, don't worry, we've got so much more, Tyler. This is just the intro part.
Okay, I'm getting worried.
Develop a plan to get your army painted. An hour or two of painting per day, or on planned days, per week, whatever. Set up rewards for yourself. Right? Paint the special or the fun units only after you finish a unit that's a chore.
Agreed.
Okay, like I'll get a paint the fun monster thing if I paint up this unit of battle line. Right?
Yeah.
Don't wait to play. Get that gray on the table, but always be building toward a new unit painted, new model at all. Play with your toys. Don't feel bad about it. Right? Like, I don't care if somebody plays with gray stuff. As long as, over time, slowly the gray fades away and we get more painted stuff, I'm happy. I'm fine. It's cool. Everybody's got their own schedule. Make your time. And then get involved with a group. If multiple people in your club or group are painting, set a group challenge. Start a path to glory, push each other to paint a new unit as you all go along together. Something like that. Right? Like, you're going to work better when you're all working together. So if it's New Year, New Army, and you got a couple people in your club who are thinking about it, get them involved.
Stop thinking about it.
Yeah. I just realized
Start
this
doing
has
it.
been off kilter the whole time. That's super fun. I had my window was off kilter. Good stuff. Boy, what a great show. Very frustrating. I don't know why the audio thing happens. I'm sorry, but I'm watching it like a hawk. Like a hawk.
Oh.
Yeah, so those are my tips for getting it on the table. Okay. So now we've covered that. Gentlemen, are you ready to get into the individual armies and start talking about the challenges of each individual army?
Okay,
Yes.
thank God. I was getting worried that this was going to be way too short of a show. Yeah, Sean, that's a good one. Best motivator for me, an upcoming event with a paint requirement. Sean, I hear that. Yeah, that seems to be the main thing for so many competitive players, especially. Yeah, is a tournament to get their army done.
Very nice.
So,
Yeah, like the having some kind of date you're painting to, for some people it cripples them, for some people it super motivates them. Know
It
what
cripples
type
me.
of person you are. Yeah, which is fine. Like that's okay. So the point is there is no one size fits all solution here. Right?
Of course.
And that's why I'm trying to offer lots of options. Some people respond well to a schedule your time. Some people respond well to like group activities. Great. Find friends amongst you, paint together. Right? Something like that. Set shared goals. Like find the way that works for you and your motivations. You can get there.
And it could be creative too. Like Jack and I, we used to paint and play Total War Warhammer. So like he would take his forever long turn, and I'd be painting, and then we would swap. That kind of stuff. You can make it do whatever you want. I mean.
That's funny.
All right, let's get into the individual armies and my sort of ratings is kind of along this way. Okay, so order, starting with the cities of Sigmar. Lots of playstyle options, very large number of units, old world aesthetic, high second-hand availability, high time commitment. What do you think of my ratings there on that one, gentlemen? Do you agree with all my ratings?
I would agree.
Okay.
Yeah,
We've got
seems
the
pretty
Doug.
good.
We've got the Doug says portion here too. So
Oh yes.
with the 2+ tough, Doug says.
Yes.
Doug says, before you buy, decide on what you want and have a rock-solid purchase plan. What to buy, start with the base infantry and lean into keyword synergies. And the buying process, eBay is your friend. Yes, indeed. One of the advantages of cities is, the second-hand availability on this particular army is off the charts. It's off the charts.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
So, you can get these guys en masse cheap.
But the caveat to that though is that the well is equally as deep. So for example, like you might say, I want to play Cities of Sigmar, hop onto eBay, there's a bunch of free guild stuff. Sweet. And then the next time you're on eBay, there's a whole bunch of, I don't know, what's gyrocopters. And you're like, they don't do anything together, but you can just keep buying things for cheap. But I think that having a plan and a direction for what you want to focus on is certainly more key in some armies than others.
Yeah.
Right.
One of the interesting things about cities is that it does have a lot of playstyle options. So you can generally find a home in there, to be almost regardless of what you like to play, right? If you have a more I like to play Anvil, Castle Army, something like that. Sure. I like to play Go Out and Get 'em armies. Sure. I want to do a lot of shooting. Sure. I like some monsters. Sure. It's all there. Right? Cities is such a vast army with this incredible number of units. It means that it opens up a lot of playstyles, but it also means you got to do that research. You got to have that plan, like Doug said. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else on cities, Tyler? What did I didn't touch on?
Yeah, this whole rumor of Bastions of Order / Dawnbringer Crusades, what the heck it's going to be called. I keep waiting if we're going to get a big hammer drop with a number of these kits just being, getting the axe.
Yep.
And when we finally get a refresh of the, an actual, here's the Bastions of Order, and here's the rollout of these 10 kits, and we are removing 20 whatever number of these war scrolls. Keep wondering if and when that's going to happen. We kind of got a trickle of it with cities or whatever, sort of this Grand Alliance order over the years, but we never really got the axe on a lot of things all at once.
Right.
So, I don't know. Something I wonder about.
I don't know if we're going to see any other cuts from them is my honest answer, but I guess time will tell.
Yeah.
Okay. Daughters of Cain, glass cannon playstyle, whether in melee or shooting. It's always the nature of their army, especially now. They have a medium number of units, many newly designed units, which is nice. They're a pretty recent refresh with a pretty cool aesthetic, in my humble opinion. They do have a higher cost and I'm going to say a high time commitment, high to very high. It's a lot of flesh. It's a lot of very small, fiddly bits, a lot of detail. It's not the super easiest army to paint.
I have such little knowledge of that entire faction. I had nothing to offer this one, unfortunately.
That's all right.
I was like, I don't even know what the hell's going on with those guys.
Well, yeah, it's I mean, from a new year, new army, if someone is looking for a cool challenge, sort of, untapped waters, a little unexplored territory. Of course, we had the Azir Weekly this week had a perfect article about how Marathi is, the defining micromanager in the mortal realms. She has to be in every army. Daughters of Cain army cannot do anything without her. Nobody, most people do not play Daughters of Cain without her in the list. So I think you can build some amazing, fun, challenging, sort of high skill floor, but high skill or sort of high, sort of like high reward on a number of levels. Like I think it can be really good without Marathi, but it is quite challenging because it is such a glass cannon. You can have a beautiful army with all the different models in that range, or most of the different models in that range if you don't run her. And yeah, I just find that one to be really fascinating personally.
Yep. It is a very interesting army, but it does have a very sort of in a box playstyle right now, right? That's the reality of the thing. And if that's not what you were looking for, it's going to disappoint. Because outside of like loading up 15 bow snakes and Marathi and just going shoot, I hope I win, right? If you're trying to play the army with more variants.
Yeah, I guess that's what I'm saying is that I think, yeah, there's a combined arms. If you're willing to let off the competitive gas a little bit, or if you're looking for a competitive challenge and you're like looking to level up your ability in AOS, to me, a zero Marathi, no Marathi, Daughters of Cain army is a fantastic choice. As you said, it's glass cannon, but it can be very combined arms. So just to give me an example, I sent you a list, Vince. I know we don't have a lot of time to devote each of these, but like Bloodwrack Shrine, Bloodwrack Medusa, Hag Queen on Cauldron, Hag Queen, Slaughter Queen, and the Melisai Iron Skill. That's your 6 heroes. You get 3 artifacts. What go crazy? Double Warlord Battalion. Cool. Now you've got like 10 Witch Elves, Canine Shadowstalkers, 10 Melee Snakes, 10 Bow Snakes, Avatar of Cain, and Karai Live Takes. Like you get you get a little bit of everything.
Sure.
And that'll be a good army.
Though it is still very glass cannony, right? Even in that form.
Very glass cannon. Absolutely. Yeah.
And that's the take-home point. Yep. Okay. Let's talk Fire Slayers. Here's my read on them. Tell me what you think, gentlemen. Fire Slayers. Okay. Limited playstyle options. Basically grind anvil. Okay.
Yes.
Small number of units. I think we can all agree on that. There's basically 3 melee kits or 3 units in that army that aren't heroes. Naked dwarves with mohawks aesthetic. I don't know what else to call it. It is expensive to collect. I would call it a medium time commitment. They're not the most complicated paints in the world. And you don't have a super high number of them now because they are a pseudo-elite force. Doug says, before you buy, understand that they all look the same and start collecting boxes times 2 and plus 2 boxes of the elite infantry. Yeah.
Yep, that's my thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're cool. They really are. They are a very unique army in that you're playing with a small toolbox. There's cool things going for them, but like you need to eat, sleep, and breathe Fire Slayer if you're gonna not get tired of that army.
Yeah, it's so limited is my estimation. I mean, there's a reason it's consistently ranked lowest on all of our surveys, right?
It's one. Yeah, you probably want to look for really good opportunities with that 400 points of allies. We've been seeing, of course, Storm and Drake Guard have become everybody's favorite slot in for that 400 points with a lot of order armies right now. Yep. And that they certainly, they do wonders in Fire Slayers as an ally choice. But yeah, they're pretty limited. I mean, it's still the faction with the most potential. Yeah, the most potential, sort of untapped potential, I think. See if we ever start to explore,
Yep.
the space around it.
And I don't think that they are very far away from being terrific. Like I think one kit, maybe two, like they can do some cool stuff
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
because they're interesting.
Yeah, and I don't think we're gonna get those kits, sadly. But
Yeah,
guess we'll
no,
see.
no,
We're getting another hero, but okay.
Right.
right, yeah, yeah,
But at least we're at the point in the meta where it definitely makes sense, I think, to run some Auric Hearthguard, to run the shooters, obviously to run the Hearthguard Berserkers, maybe a unit of Volkite Berserkers. So within the very small range of choices that you have available, I mean, sort of having those, at least those two, or Auric Hearthguard, Hearthguard Berserkers, makes a lot of sense as a
Yeah, I agree.
foundation.
I don't think
this.
Volkites have a home, but I agree with you on the first.
Yeah,
Two,
they
so.
they probably don't. Yeah.
And that's a real problem when you've got 3 infantry
Right.
units or 3
I
non
know.
units, and 2 of them, like one of them, isn't even worth putting on the table because it has no distinct role. Is a real problem. Do I want to play Hearthguard or this other thing that's worse than that but does the same thing? It's decisions.
yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Idneth Deepkin, the IDK. Okay, multiple playstyle options, maybe even more now. Maybe we'll see a Namarti heavy play come up with this new hero.
Whoa.
I would call this a medium number of units. Highly rated and highly varied aesthetics of sea creatures. Like this, in surveys, IDK always ranked very high with its aesthetics. People seem to really like it. It's a lot of very cool, sort of like really sort of sculpts that stand out, I think, find a home in this place. The sharks, the eidolons, all this kind of stuff. I'll call it medium to high cost, medium to high time commitment, depending on where you want to go and what you happen to paint, right? If you are running a lot of Namarti, it does drastically increase kind of your time commitment because those got rather complicated kits and actually do take a little while to get onto the table.
Yeah, they're deceptive.
Yeah, you're like, oh, these little blind dudes, how hard can these be? 6 hours later. Oh my god, why am I still assembling these?
Well, he doesn't have eyes, so maybe he just doesn't need arms, and then you just have a whole bunch of half-built models.
What else on Idneth? Doug or Tyler, did I miss anything on Idneth?
Yeah, I'm really hopeful for the. Oh, go ahead, Doug.
I don't know. I was just going to say, no, I don't really have anything. That's all.
Okay.
Cool. I gave you the floor for that. Great.
Yep.
Let's see. What was I going to say? Yeah, I'm really hopeful with this new book that they're at the point right now where most everything is very playable. We finally got there with Idneth. It took forever. I don't know how long it's been since we got that book, but of course, Namarti Thralls are the one that are a little on the outsides right now, but you'll still see them in like units of 10, maybe a unit of 20 here or there. But yeah, I'm just hopeful they get the Nurgle treatment, and basically everything, like more or less with this Nurgle book, is playable. You can find a place for it, certainly at least in the core units.
Yep.
For sure.
So yeah, it's an amazing range.
One thing I do think it's important to point out, especially because we're talking about getting started and stuff like that, if you have, or if you lead a game group and you have like a regular game night, have a small Deepkin army, because just like when Auric Ironjaws first came out, it is the kind of army that like draws people. Like people walk into a game store and they see the Leviathan and they're like, what is that thing? Like, you know what I mean? It's awesome. So it definitely has a lot of merit, at least in the specifically, one thing that makes it unique to me is it has merit in drawing in new people, just because it is one of those wholly unique things. So I like it.
I think this is going to be a great second army or army for people to expand into with when we get the new book. I really do. Because I think seeing the 3 books so far and just imagining what we're going to get here, I have to imagine this becomes just like, it feels like it should. And it's these wild, the sea has risen up to attack you. And it's just a super cool aesthetic mixed with a super cool looking army and feeling army and playing army. So, okay. Caradron Overlords. The run and gun playstyle. Low to medium number of units. A unique, very AOS aesthetic, medium to high cost, medium to high time commit, with this extra challenge of it has vehicles, which may require additional tools, like painting vehicles without an airbrush is it can often be more difficult. Not
I
impossible.
Doug
just
did it.
harder.
It's fine. You can figure it out.
It's just harder. Okay, and then Doug says, before you buy, watch battle reports. They are super unique.
Yeah, everybody else is playing Warhammer, and you're playing, I don't know, Carriage and Overlords. I mean, that's it. They're so different. There's nothing else like them.
Yeah, I agree. And like Mark just said it best in chat. I love the look of the KO Mecha Steam Dwarves. The aesthetics alone make me want to collect them. Like their boats are just cool as, right? The Thunderers and stuff just look great. They have such a unique aesthetic, and they do play a super different game. But make sure it's one you're going to want to play. You are run and gun. You can't just sit down and blast your opponent to death. You don't have that kind of firepower in the army, right? You've got to like drop, shoot, move, get out of there, skirmish, drop somewhere else, pick out their pick their high value targets. Right? You can't. It's not just like a move forward and wall of lead goes out and you just wilt the enemy playstyle. It's not what it is.
Yeah, to me, it feels like one of those armies you definitely would like to play before committing. I mean, unless you're, again, obviously we throw all this out. If you just love the models, you want to pay the models, cool.
Of course. Yeah, that's a general disclaimer, for sure.
So it kind of goes without saying. But yeah, because I tried them a few times a couple of years back. And, like this was at the height of their power. And I'm just thinking they're like this plug-in sort of point and click army. That's KO. Wait, kind of a little bit, but not really. Yeah, there's a lot going on. And it's easy to make mistakes when you're playing KO. I learned quickly, and boy, do you get punished for it.
Yep.
Oh yeah, it was interesting.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Let's keep going.
All right.
Lumineth, Realm Lords, LRL. Castle or hammer anvil playstyle, medium to high number of units especially with the addition and potential future expansions, because it seems like this is the army that will never end. Mix of old world high elf aesthetic with AOS high fantasy, right? Like you got half the army that looks like it walks straight out of the old world, and half the army that looks like it is from an alien planet.
Yes, I love it.
High cost, very high time commitment. These are detailed models. And like, sure, can you paint dirty looking Lumineth Realm Lords? Yeah, it's fine. You can paint your models however you want, but we all know that's not what you're going to do. You want like the pristine, clean, perfect elves, right?
Mm-hmm. Of course.
Yeah. Doug says, before you buy, explain to your friends why you hate them. It's only polite before what comes next.
Well, okay, so admittedly that was a joke that was inspired by Tom deleting everything that I held precious and dear at Holy Havoc when he was like, hey, play a game with Vince and I. We'll teach you guys how Havoc works the night before the event.
I mean, we knew Jack was there. We couldn't go easy on you, Doug. That's the problem. Like it's Jack just invites it. He brought some amount of shooting, and we can't let that stand.
Oh my gosh.
Competitive Jack is scary. Like you don't. I loved you guys put that video up on Rerolling Ones of how Jack actually plays the game of Warhammer at tournaments compared to how he plays Warhammer on Rerolling Ones. Like, who are you?
Yeah.
Like, what is going on here? Oh my god. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, with Lumineth, we should say like I have a buddy who plays Lumineth very, very frequently. It's one of the two armies he runs. He runs that or Soul Blight. And look, the reality is, you don't have to run 50 sentinels or whatever, right? Like he likes to run Cow Mountains and stuff like that. He mixes it up with different lists all the time. And honestly, it's an interesting army to play against when it's not full of the worst elements.
Yep.
It's
agreed.
Still true that the most common thing he says is, hold on, I forgot something. And that's no judgment on him. It's just, that's the nature of LRL, right? It's like the skillful, my warning with LRL would be, you have to like a very complicated experience in your army. It's not a normative statement. It's just, it is a complex army to play.
Yes.
right?
You
So
really have, yeah, you got to know what you're doing because it can be rough on your the person across from you if you don't know what you're doing.
right.
You're getting things
Hmm.
wrong all the time and you're forgetting things and it gets, yeah, I've experienced that. It's not a lot of fun. So
No.
yeah.
Yep, absolutely. All right, Seraphon. Lots of playstyle options. It's an incredibly
Yes.
varied army. Very large number of units. The aesthetic is just dinosaurs are cool. Uh,
Lizard.
yeah, very high secondhand availability. Going
Yes.
back years and years and years, including lots of alternative 3D prints out there on the market. By the way, like there's just other games models and secondhand lizard men going back to the mid 90s. Like all of my Saurus, for example, are from the 5th edition starter box, the age old showdown of Britonia versus Lizardmen. The battle we all knew was eventually going to boil over.
Yes. Yep. Oh my
And
gosh.
low to medium time commitment is my comment there. Like they're models that's like respond so well to like dry brush or zenithal or both and contrast, and yay, you have an amazing looking army slash unit slash model, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think of them as sometimes as like a counter to Cities of Sigmar in the sense of it is also a large box or well that you can draw models from.
Mm-hmm.
But I find that the Seraphon tend to be more cohesive because of the way the allegiance abilities and that kind of stuff. Like I feel like if you mix up Skinks and Saurus, it's not nearly as detrimental to what you're trying to do as like hammerers or something like that from dwarves and free guild guys when the synergies aren't there, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely.
absolutely agreed. It is so much more forgiving in its power playing,
Yes.
right? Yeah, yeah. Also, hey, what's up, Jade Finch? Welcome. Glad you stumbled across us and happy to have you here. Thanks. That's fantastic. All right. Doug said, by the way, before you buy, and I totally agree with this, decide on an army theme. Subfaction. Are you Starborn or Coalesce?
Mhm.
Celestial or Realmbound? And then that will sort of guide you on what to then buy, right? Like, so
Yes.
that it's an army that will very much benefit from some kind of research examination, being a little more methodical. Yeah.
Hmm.
Ben says the metal stegodon is super fun. Ben, all of my stegodons are metal, and you're absolutely right. You could kill a man with those things. They weigh, it's 10 pounds of pewter or whatever. It's just, my stegodons are so heavy. You just poof. If your opponent gets uppity, it just boom, you just knock them in the head with that. They're out for a couple hours, easy. You win.
Oh yeah, there you go. Get
See,
yourself
see?
a Holy Havoc army called the Stactagons or Stactodons, whatever they are.
All right.
Uh,
Yeah. Anything else on Seraphon there, Tyler?
Yeah, Trenzo made me think about. He made a point that Seraphon can have such a wide range of
Mhm.
colors in their army,
Yep.
and yet it still usually feels. Yeah, I've seen so many
Such a good
armies
point.
over the years. Yeah, over 5 years, and yeah, they just it's amazing the variety of colors that you can have rocking with that army. It always seems to work.
Yep.
So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Because like we expect natural lizards and creatures like that to be
right.
a panoply of colors, right? Like it's not so
Yeah,
our brain goes, "Yep, that checks out. I'm
yeah,
with it." Right?
Mhm.
Like they're not wearing uniforms. Of course they can be varied, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm not like going through the zoo and I see I'm walking through like the lizard house or whatever. And I see some lizards, and then I walk to the next cage and see different lizards, and be like, "I don't buy this for a minute. Those lizards are a different color than the other one.
Yeah,
These aren't all
yeah,
lizards." You know,
yeah.
what? Okay,
Uh,
all right. Stormcast Eternals. Lots of playstyle options. Very large number of units.
Yep.
The poster boy AOS aesthetic. Low cost. You can get from getting started to
Mhm.
they're just inexpensive to collect, right? Like it's inexpensive. It is. Here, do I want to say this. It's a low cost to get an army. It is extremely expensive to collect everything.
Yes. Yes.
right.
That's a great way to say
Yeah.
it. Cheap
Okay.
army, devastating on their wallet collection.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Like you get a 2K army really, really cost effectively out of Stormcast, depending on what you want to play. That can be fun and competitive and stuff like that. But if you want to go deep and be like, man, I want to be able to run all the chambers and do kind of anything I want in any build, it's just like, whoo! All right, well, tuck in. Hope you have a source of maybe look into that reverse mortgage thing. I don't know. I heard those are good for getting some money. Because it's just so big. But yeah, there's lots of secondhand availability. And the bright part of them is I would call it a low to medium time commit, again, depending on how deep you want to invest. Because they paint really well and really smoothly. They're very new painter friendly. Right?
Yeah, I
Doug's-
saw this.
Well, let me do
I
this.
saw this.
Doug says,
go.
what to buy? Any new stuff plus priests. I agree. Like, start with Thunderstrike and you're in a good place. Just you can ignore the rest. Go into that later. Right?
Yep.
Get some Thunderstrike stuff and a Lord Relictor. You're good to go. Perfectly fine. Getting on the table, very simple to paint up. Yep, absolutely. All right, Tyler, go ahead.
Oh, nice. I can't remember what the heck I was going to say now. I think we're
Sorry,
good. It wasn't
I
important.
disrupted you.
No, it's no worries. You can keep going.
I mean, we all love Stormcast, so this is our home. We all chose to live here. That says something.
Yeah, we haven't mentioned the. I mean, I'm sure everybody knows about him. Just in case, the Age of Sigmar buy, swap, and sell, and something like Age of Sigmar's sells and trades on Facebook. Those are very happening places to be. Yeah, for the secondhand market. I don't know if you guys know of anything better, but yeah, I keep an eye on those every week.
Yeah, those are the same ones to watch.
All
days,
the time
son.
you see Stormcast.
Yeah, for days. Yeah. All right, last one in order. Sylvaneth, limited playstyle options right now. Perhaps shouldn't be, but they are. It is a quite limited army at the moment, just because of kind of what it's become. Medium number of units. Obviously, it has a very nature aesthetic, which can be fun. You can do a lot of cool stuff with basing and things like that. A lot of work with a lot of cool natural colors. I would call it medium cost. There are a lot of good third-party alternatives out there, and a medium time commit. Tyler, you're the Sylvaneth. You're our local Sylvaneth representative from the local UA Tree 103. What do you have to say about this here?
Yeah, obviously the first thing is, get ready for some potential frustrations with the woods. You kind of have to, like, that's the thing. You might try them out to see if you enjoy the playstyle. Some people love, playing with the wild woods, and some people don't. So that's the first thing. Definitely, I think it's a good army to try out, see if it suits your playstyle. If you enjoy teleporting, Sylvaneth is for you, because they still do that. Yeah, I seem to not play an army unless it can teleport, or only teleport as its means of mobility. They're very easy to paint up, I gather. That's what I hear on the street. And yeah, I don't know, they're still a lot of fun. I've been getting quite a few games in with them. Like, yeah, they're not going to win every game, but they're still an incredibly rewarding army to play.
Okay, are the trees the thing that would make it, like, that's the deal breaker though, right?
Yeah. Basically, yes. Yeah, it's the same story for forever. Yeah. And because they have to be set up more than 3 inches away from everything, that's also a challenge right now in playing Sylvaneth.
Right.
You can put one down, but we're playing on these smaller boards, and we've got potentially 8 pieces of terrain, and there's often not a lot of space to try to fit a wildwood somewhere because of the more than 3 inches away thing I found. Yeah, so yeah.
Yep. Mark, you can do an all dryad army. Like, that is possible if you consider branch witches and branch wraiths just character dryads, which I mean that's basically what they are. But I don't know that I'd recommend it. Like, I just consider Kurnoth big dryads. They're all tree still, right? If that's to be the definition. So like, like you can have an all tree army very easily. And I think that's good. And then you don't want to kill yourself by having to put like an uncountable number of trees on the table of dryads.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but personally not. I mean, again, if someone really loves a horde army playstyle, then sure, go crazy with triads. But yeah, they're very fiddly models, in
Yeah.
terms of stuff sticking out, and it does. I just don't. It played 70 whatever back in the day when all of us were playing that, in like 2017, 2018, and yeah, it's not a lot of fun. But I mean, everything else is very playable. Like Kurnoth are good. Alariel, just about all the heroes are playable. Alariel, Warsong Revenant obviously is incredible. Yeah, it's pretty, still in a pretty good place, the army.
Agreed. All right. Let's do some chaos. All
Yes.
right. So,
This is where I bounce around the most.
we all love chaos. I've accidentally tripped into having everything in chaos covered. Okay. Beasts O Chaos. Limited playstyle options, medium high number of units, many old sculpts, medium low cost. There are a lot of secondhand and alternative sculpts around. And I would call it a medium time commitment. Some of these things do paint up pretty fast. Doug says, before you buy, watch someone play it. It's a lot of models. And what to buy,
Right.
Ungor Raiders and Monsters. Sure. Yeah, I mean, Doug, what you've had beasts at some point in your rotations, right?
Oh yes, yeah. I had a really great Beast of Chaos army that really emphasized turn one charges and just penning my opponent in their deployment zone,
Hmm.
and it was beautiful.
Sure. You like that? I think that's might be the Doug TM playstyle, by the way.
It is actually. I realized that about myself, where it's just like turn one, come down from the sky, it's somehow get everyone all bundled up in their own deployment zone.
Sure, sure. You want to get into it right
Nice.
away?
This
Go ahead.
this is this is fantastic. I've been wondering this for years, Doug. Like what is your competitive go-to? We figured it out.
Oh yeah. You just move forward. With my Nurgle, it was the Affliction Cyst, turn one charges with 6 Puscoil Blight Lords,
Oh,
and it's just you're gonna have opponents that can deal with it, and that's
right.
awesome. You're gonna lose and go get early lunch, and then you're gonna have opponents that can't, and then you're gonna win.
Love
Yeah.
it.
Doug looks at the enemy army, sees where they set up, and says, "Okay, that's where they want to fight. Then let's go over
Yep.
there and fight them. That's it. Like it's very obvious. That's why they stood there. That must be
Yeah.
where they want to fight. Let's go do that.
Exactly.
There we go.
Amazing.
And between the synergies of like Greyherd Shaman giving additional movement, the run and charge, it's an
Yeah.
incredibly fast and aggressive army, and I do like it. It's very rewarding. But I just honestly, I just got tired of moving that many models, which
Sure.
It's so many
it's a little,
models.
it's a lot, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like and yeah, it's not that you can't. Sure. Like I hear somebody in the comments going, actually I play all Dragon Ogres or Bulgor and it's not that many models, and it's like, okay, calm down. We get it. Yes,
Yep.
there are elite alternatives in the army, but I mean, like, look, I hate to say it, but they're right now, as it stands, they are the worst part of the army, and I'm not sure that's going to change anytime soon, and it's super disappointing. Like, and what
I'm
beasts
curious about-
tend to do well with is bodies. Almost in
Yeah.
any scenario, you're going to have some part of your army being masses of bodies.
Yes,
Sure.
and I mean honestly, it is the perfect army. Like I enjoy the playstyle. Like if you are really good at sticking to the objectives, I did great with them. You know, I went 2-1 at most weekend events. I don't really go to 2-day events very much, but like because people spend so long pushing through your chaff that they don't expect turn 4 10 Ungor in their back line to come and hop on one of their objectives and burn it,
Yeah.
or I mean, there's just a lot of play if you're very good for sticking to the objectives, but
Yep. Yep.
Play
All
the
right.
game like it should be played. I like it.
It's strange advice. Blades of Corn, or just Corn. Grand Ballet or Monster Mash. Those are your playstyle choices. You will not deviate from these in the current book. Grand Ballet is what I call the dance of 8-inch auras, by the by. Medium high number of units with several very outstanding traps. Does have some new and compelling aesthetic with many newer models. Like that is to say, they did get a pretty big refresh of kits back during the end times and stuff like that. So there's a lot of newer kits in that army. Medium to low cost. There's lots of secondhand and alternative.
Yes.
People love corn. Love alternative sculpts of corn, stuff like that can be used. People love like corn. It proliferates. A lot of people are selling corn because it had such like for the whole first AOS one, it was just in mass being shipped out in tons of starter boxes. And I will say, I think it has a medium high time commitment depending on what you're saying. Like, Doug, you and I have a difference on this one because Doug says Corn Bloodbound set, maybe a box of Bloodletters, which I totally get that. Like Bloodbound or any of the starter sets, great stuff. You said simple skin tones and your 2 armor colors make this easy. My only disagreement with that is if you go heavy on some of those units, like Blood Warriors or anything with its like heavy armor that has all the brocade on it, then this army suddenly jumps up to a high time commitment as you're sitting there tracing with your metallic paints every little armor plate.
Yep.
Over and over and over and over again.
So here's my solution to that. You ready, Vince? You go, you pick up all your best friends, you get a case of Four Loko, and you say, listen, guys, we're going to go find some trim. And then you bring them home, and then you just have them paint the trim for 12 hours, and you will have 5 completed Blood Warriors, and it's no problem. I think you're overthinking this.
I do love how you set the bar at 5 completed Blood Warriors for 12 hours of work. Yeah, I painted like 1 unit of Blood Warriors for my corn army, and I was like, well...
Yeah,
done with that.
It's dead to me now. Yep.
That is, when we are done, that is the end of that unit. I will be finding other things that I enjoy playing. Thank you, Inna, very much. Yeah. Tyler, anything on corn?
They are good. I like point, yeah, a potential kind of buy now while they're at their low point with this army. If you believe that this trend of pretty quality books we're seeing so far with 3.0 is going to continue. Like if we get a corn battle tome that has the feel of a Nurgle in terms of, it plays like you would expect corn or Iron Jaws. We've had some misses, but in general, it's been pretty good so far. Yeah, this would be a good army to invest in.
We haven't done stonks, but I'll tell you right now, Blades of Corn are my highest stonks right now on what to do.
I would agree. I would agree.
This next book is going to be a totally different experience for corn. So like I wouldn't get too enamored of its current play style. That would be the only thing I'd say.
Yeah.
That's not me knowing anything, by the way. That's just me reading the tea leaves and looking at Nurgle and going, if I get a corn book that feels like this Nurgle book, I am beyond pumped, right? Like
yeah, and then combined with like the newer kits that they've had in the last couple of years. Oh yeah, it's a no-brainer.
Oh, the blood.
It's all there. They just need a good book.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and Russ Veal, we believe in you, Russ Veal. I gotta know Russ is probably involved in this. He's been involved. He's leading the play testing. It's happening, and Russ is going to make sure we get a quality book.
Let's hope so.
Russ.
All right, Disciples of Tzeentch, limited playstyle option. I think basically castling is your option. It might be a slightly mobile castle, but it's a castle.
That's
you have a medium to high number of units. It is a very unique aesthetic, and it does have some new models to it. Again, the Lord of Change is fairly new. There are some new kits in there. Medium high cost, high time commitment. Even one of your dumb units of horrors is like, well, let me paint up these 10 pinks, and then also the associated 20 blues, and then also the associated 20 brims. Yay! I like painting 50 models for a 10 model unit. And like, yeah, they're simple-ish models, no doubt.
Yeah.
But it's still paint on plastic. Like, let's not kid ourselves here, right? Like, you had to do something. So there's time there. And it's a lot of like bright colors, and like if you get into the Zangor, the detail on the Zangor. Take everything we just said about armor trim and then add in feathers and bottles and doodads and
Beaks.
Yeah, just beaks and horns and bajangles. Just oh boy. Tzeentch loves a good complicated model. That is for sure.
I didn't have much for that one. I mean, they can be a weird one to get into just because of there are a few different ways to play them. I mean, you're right, castling, but it's just a lot of horrors. But when you get into the hero stuff, I think it's a very rewarding faction for that aspect because the heroes all look super different and fun and intriguing.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Jokester says magic gun line, which I would argue is the castle. Infantry finger gun line, which is the other castle. Horde, which is I don't buy that as the army. I mean, I understand what you're going with for there, or Monster Mash. I don't buy the Tzeentch Monster Mash army. I just don't. But I'm not hitting on Tzeentch. I think Tzeentch is actually, it's still one of the Sinister Six. But I don't have, now that Archeon has gotten his stupid butt out of Tzeentch, I have much less problem with the army. Like, it is a tough but reasonable army to play against. If you like cheating, but you're tired of getting kicked out of gaming groups for actually cheating, okay? Then play Tzeentch, where you can just, like, legally cheat. That's your rules, and it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. You get to cheat, but it's fair because it's written down. So it's all good.
One of my friends had leaned into the sort of like the chaotic evil of Tzeentch. He paints all of his pink horrors blue, all of his blue horrors pink.
Sure.
Just to lean into the madness. Yeah, and I have real issues with it when I play him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. It's can be a pretty high skill army. I mean, there's pink horror spam, but they got an appropriate point increase. So right. And yeah, they've got healthy number of, I'd say, counters that are out there now, starting with all dragons that can just burn them down off the table, particularly if they get double turned by that.
Sure.
And and they just go bye-bye. But yeah.
There's a lot of units in Tzeentch I really like. Like, there are some really, really cool units that I think, like, Tzeentch was I guess it was the third Chaos Army I built, but whatever, that doesn't matter. I mean, I own every Chaos Army now, so whatever. I like Tzeentch. I like a lot of their units. I think I think a lot of them have a cool aesthetic. It feels very chaos. I think it feels the most chaos, especially in the on the demon side. Although even the mortals are strange.
I like the mortals a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
my thing is with all these chaos armies, well, specifically the god specific ones, some of them you're going to have a focus of like demons are much stronger, or not even stronger in terms of like play style, but just you can see what they do on the table much easier than some of the mortal stuff. And then other times it's inverted. So like this is one where the demons are the dominant play function. I feel like Khorne is a good mix and leans more towards mortals. That's just my opinion, but
I
it's
agree.
just
The demon side is just for bloodthirsters or get out, right, at the moment.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, but I think that's an important thing to note with some of these, because you can look at a whole range, but in practice you're not playing 50-50 mortal and demon all the time with most of these.
Right. Yep. Hey, all right, Mr. Jokester. I even have a Tzeentch half sleeve tattoo now. That's awesome. Now that's dedication. Way back in the day, I went to Origins, and this is back in the early 2000s, and Warhammer Age of Reckoning was being demoed, like a beta demo, because this is a couple years before it came out. And we went into the booth. We were all very excited for it because we're all Warhammer players, and we were all super stoked to have a Warhammer MMO. And I went up to the guy and I was like, "Look, all this stuff, the armies you previewed, these all sound cool. I'm super into this. I play Warhammer. I like it. But let's ask the real question. When is Skaven? That's what I want to know. When are you going to give me my rats?" And the dude just like rolls up his sleeve, and his whole top arm was a sleeve tattoo of the horned rat and like the Skaven symbol and all that. And I was like, this is a man I like right here. So yeah, I mean, if you got ink to support your Chaos God, you've got my vote. All right.
That's a great way to dodge a question too.
It really was. I was like, he got me. Okay. Heed Knights of Slaanesh. Limited playstyle options. I'm not even sure how I would define them, or what they would be. I guess it is like skirmish and summon, I suppose, probably. I think their playstyle is mostly losing.
Yeah, pain, no pleasure. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. it does have a medium-high number of units. Almost all of the core Chaos armies now have about the same number of units. It's funny because as I was doing this, I was looking obviously at the GW site, and you can see like how many different things there are to order, and almost every one of them is like within a few kits of each other. So interesting. It is a unique aesthetic, very unique aesthetic, with many very new sculpts. Like Slaanesh has some of the newest sculpts of all the Chaos stuff, having just gotten a massive refresh. Slash introduction of new models, but it is a high cost. It's an expensive army to collect and a very high time commitment. A lot of the models are fiddly. They have a lot of piece parts. It is not an army for the faint of heart. So
I don't really know much about them currently. Where do they fall on that mortals to demons kind of thing?
Well,
Like,
it's
did
all
you
bad.
find
So it's kind of whatever you want.
you choose your own way to fail?
Yeah, exactly. No, I mean, arguably right now they actually lean much more onto the mortals in a lot of ways. Like Sigvald is one of your standout heroes. Whether you consider Glutos worth it or not might be up for some discussion, but he's certainly in the discussion as a potent piece. The
Probably
Hellstriders are
Painbringer.
being a critical. Yeah.
Striders, yeah.
So like, people argue that with the reduced cost, some of the bow shooters, so like the Seeker Slick Blades or the Blissbarb Seekers or the Blissbarbs on foot, like it's kind of pretty mortal right now, and I think a lot of the lists that you see doing decent, and that's mainly because a lot of the demon stuff is just kind of like hot Chinatown garbage, other than a few of the heroes. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It feels like Painbringers, the archers on foot, and you said it, Glutos, Sigvald, the keeper. Your 400 some tax to double activate Sigvald and Glutos, which is hilarious. Be an epitome, but yeah. Do not read a 3.0 book before reading the Slaanesh book, or it's going to really stand out. What a different world that Slaanesh. Man, I've been going back, so my friend has, Bryce in the chat, he's got a bunch of Slaanesh, and I've been tempted to just to experience it, to see if I can make anything work with this army. And it is a nightmare trying to read that book. It's so, oh my God. Anyway.
Yeah,
like it's from a different era.
It is strange. The other challenge, Doug, is regardless of like mortals tend to be the thing you put on the table, but you have to have a bunch of demons too, because that's what you're going to need to summon, because it's the summoning army for no reason.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I know nothing about him. It's the one chaos god I've never even had a passing interest in.
Slaanesh best god. But I get it. Look. He is Marmite, so I understand. You either love it or it's not for you, but that's all right. I'm into it. Deeply, uncomfortably into it.
How are they to build? You built a ton of Slaanesh over the last couple of years.
I mean, they're the Slick Blades. The mounts are awesome. The actual Slick Blades are a nightmare given form. Like the little guys on top are just for a tiny person. It's just horrendously awful. The Blissbarbs themselves aren't too bad. Like, a lot of the kits, a lot of people lament forever that the chariots are nearly impossible to build. I've never really been too bothered by them. It's a lot of scraping. I saw somebody say all these armies should be rated on mold line removal. If you hate mold line removal, do not come around this Slaanesh way. Let me tell you what, a lot of them kits got some big old mold lines on them. But like as a big monster, the Keeper of Secrets is actually incredibly beautiful and easy to build. It's one of the simplest of big kits. It goes together so smoothly. But like the Slick Blades and the Blissbarb Seekers are just really awful. Just scarringly mentally awful. So, in theme for Slaanesh. All right. Next up, in Chaos, let's keep going. Maggotkin O'Nurgle. Grind attrition playstyle. Medium-high number of units. Unique aesthetic with some new sculpts. Very friendly to new players. Responds well to people who want to just kind of base coat, wash, and get grimy. It looks great. You're like, yep, you did it.
Yeah.
You nailed Nurgle. Well, way to be. Medium cost, medium time commitment. Fun. I think it's a fantastic army for like your first army or your second plus right now. It's in such a good place.
I agree.
Well, yeah. Yeah, they are the Stormcast of Chaos. My mind right now.
Yeah.
Everything's playable. It's very affordable to get into. That fantastic Vanguard box that we got. It's like what, $125? 5
something like,
Blight Kings?
and so good.
Yeah, 5 Blight Kings, 2 Pusgoyle Blight Lords, one of which can be the Lord of Afflictions, 10 Plague Bearers, and I think Scrivener, Squillpox Scrivener. Yeah, get a couple of those. That's going to be about 1,500 points of your list right there. If you make one of those a Lord of Afflictions, then you have a single Pusgoyle and a unit of 2, and then throw in a Guo, Grin and Clean one. You got a list right there.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. So it's just such a friendly army to new players, both from painting, from cost, and like the play style is grindy and attrition-y, but you know what? It doesn't feel bad to play against. They actually nailed it in some miracle I wasn't sure they could do, because I thought it'd be horrible. I really was worried it was going to be horrible. But like I've played against it and piloted it now. And you never feel like you're just like your stuff dies. It just dies slowly. You never blow things off the table. Your offense feels almost perfect. You grind them down. Like they just start. I watched what's his name? Alarith or Avalinor, the Stoneheart King. That's what his name was. Right?
Avalinor.
The name, dude. Yeah, he was in the game I played. And I just had people attacking him, and they died slowly enough that every round I was just like, rolling it out. Diseased. I kept knocking him up to like 7 tokens, and he would just. But he was always in combat, so he couldn't heroic recovery, and he had the black lone pop, and he just went down. He didn't feel well, and it took like forever. But we played like a full 5-turn game, and it felt great, back and forth the whole time. Right? It's amazed to me that they actually got the speed pretty correct on it. For most people's experience. Like, I'm sure there'll be ways it tilts one way or another when it gets to super competitive edge, but I think people just playing this, it's going to feel really good.
Yeah, because we've talked about, like, Stormcast, where you have an army of Stormcast that your opponent feel like, I can't kill these things because they're on a 2-up save or a 1, whatever. But it doesn't. Yeah, it's not that. Things are happening. It's amazing, man.
Yeah, can I also say, here's another fun thing. That whole game, every attack roll I made against Lumineth, every attack roll, let's just say, there might have been 1 or 2 that weren't, was it neg 1 to hit. Okay? Period. Because he had everything that was neg 1 to hit. All over the place. Okay? Between Shining Company and the big mountains that broadcast auras or can pick units, and the hero dude who's built in neg 1 to hit himself, the mounted guy, the like mounted hero dude. I was neg 1 to hit the whole time. Okay? And often neg 2, so it wasn't even worth using all-out attack. And you know what? I didn't care. I was like, whatever, man. I'm just looking for 6s here, homie. Disease, right? Because you can't take my 6s away from me, dog. That's it. And so it's just a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I don't. Your neg 1 doesn't mean anything to me. Get you sick. All right, Skaven. Here we go. Lots of playstyle options, high number of units, varied aesthetic across the army, many very old sculpts, including the oldest model, I believe, in AOS. I believe the oldest model currently in AOS is a Skaven model.
Is it the Gutter Runner?
No, it is the Globadier, the Wind Globadier, who comes in like a single pack for $15, which is ridiculous for a unit, and I think was sculpted in 1992. So it is officially celebrating its 30th birthday this year, I think. Hooves of Doom, if he's around or watches this later, can double check me. The Night Runners and the Gutter Runners were both slightly later because the Night Runners are plastic. They came out in the plastic kit that launched with 5th edition.
Oh, okay.
Because I was so excited when that new kit launched, my friend. I went to the store and I was like, oh, look at this sweet plastic kit. Woo, I'm going to build all the crazy rats. It was a big day for me. Okay. So. Okay. So, at any rate, medium high cost, high time commitment. Yeah, this is an army where, like, Horde is more or less the nature of the thing.
Yep.
And you have to... I love Skaven. I have 150 clan rats. And I liked painting them. I thought they're fun. But many people might look at 150 clan rats and go, nope.
Yep.
Nope. And, you know, you don't need that many. But like, having 120 is a pretty reasonable expectation. Right?
Sure.
Yeah, I would agree.
And it's in a rough spot right now. My hard advice on Skaven would be stay away unless you truly deeply love the aesthetic like I do. Mm-hmm. Because it's a slog. So many of the kits are so old. You have a bunch of metal, a bunch of fine cast. You know, just like it's challenging. It's hard to build armies. It's hard to build a compelling army. I hope at some point we get a new book that makes it easier. It's really a painful experience building an army. I mean, Doug, I want you to tell your story here because I think this is the experience that a lot of people will have.
So so I initially wanted to do a Clan Pestilence army. And so I started building that up because at the time I was like thinking about Nurgle stuff. This is before their current book, obviously. But I built 40 clan rats and then, plague monks. No, it had to be 60 because I had enough. Okay, so 60 plague monks. And then I was like, wait a minute. I really would love to try bringing in some other elements into the army. Well, the second you move away from that, because of the way that the battle line and the restrictions along the clans work, all of the 60 models that I had already painted meant nothing. Now I had to paint at least 60 clan rats. So now I have my battle line, and then I can take other stuff on top. And that's when I checked out. I was like, oh, so the way to expand means I might as well just start a whole new collection at that point. So it just became a real pain. And just that's one of those projects that I put down and I was like, this is no longer fun and relaxing for me because of that change. Yeah, I mean that's the challenge, right? It's like right now the book just isn't friendly to actually building armies. Yep.
It's kind of a chore between the reinforcement limit and the way that their battle line is so heavily restricted. It's just kind of not fun to build armies with. But hey, hopefully 2022 maybe we'll get a new tome. We haven't had a Tome Celestial yet, so
there you go. Boom.
Fingers crossed. Okay.
I think I've been the most surprised at where they were in 2.0 and their translation to 3.0 and the gap came about.
I mean, they dropped almost 20% in the change to 3.0.
Yeah. That was a big surprise last year. What it's worth. I was just thinking about that. Yeah.
Yep. Lastly up, Slaves to Darkness. Medium playstyle options, most of which are melee focused, but they do have several different ways to play within the melee world. High number of units, lots of aesthetic options. Classic Warhammer, right? Like the Chaos Warrior is the Warhammer aesthetic. Especially with newer Warcry models, they get a lot of new options. And now that they're all can be battle line easily, that's great. So you can really pick your own aesthetic in a lot of great ways. Medium high cost, medium high time commitment. Before you buy, read the most recent FAQ/Tome Celestial. Doug says. And the Start Collecting box is great. It's a winner.
Yep.
So
this is a faction I collected because if you're watching this in the future, back in my day, you used to be able to buy a Slaves to Darkness army and then just run it as whatever Chaos God you want. That is no longer the case. So it has, I will say, stifled my love for the faction quite a bit. Because that used to be their unique selling proposition. So that's changed. So just kind of make sure that's what you want before, like, it has to be Slaves to Darkness is what you want now, not my
Not you buy
wild card
Slaves to
army.
Darkness and run it as Tzeentch or something.
Yes,
like that, right?
yes.
Right. Yep. Agreed. You have to like Slaves to Darkness, which I do. And again, I think they do have a lot of different playstyle options in there, like the Chaos Warrior, Chaos Knights, Varangard. Again, a lot of these things are just super classic and super cool. The new Chaos Knights are so good. I love those sculpts so much. And I like Chaos Knights as a unit. I think they're actually quite good in the game. So, yeah. Tyler?
Yeah, I played against 2x20 Chaos Warriors a month ago, and it's hard to go wrong with 40 Chaos Warriors in your army, turns out.
If you love anvils, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, good lord. And they're very good in the meta, I would say. Against, like, you think about a lot of these Sinister Six, what are they doing? They're pumping out mortal wounds, particularly from range. Chaos Warriors will happily eat up those mortal wounds.
Yep.
And send on objectives. Yeah. and look good doing it.
That beautiful 5-up, baby. It's great.
Yeah. I love Slaves of Darkness. If I were playing Chaos, it would be Nurgle or Slaves of Darkness. And it's core. You mentioned, Varangard, just all these classic Warhammer models, and then you can kind of season a taste from there. You want some Untamed Beasts, you want some Iron Golems, kind of mix and match to your heart's content. Yeah, it's a really cool range.
Yep. I will say, if you'll count the 1K of Maggotkin of Nurgle I now have, then I have all of the Chaos factions now. So I've collected them all. I've Pokemanned them. All right. Death.
We got to speed up a little bit here.
Yep, okay. No problem. I agree. All right.
Might have to duck out at some point.
Nope, you're fine. We'll get going quick. Because I don't want to be too much later, Doug. If you've got 20, 30 more minutes, that's what I want this to run. Here we go.
Oh, let's do it.
All right. Flesh Eater Courts. Limited playstyle options, Swarm or Monster Mash, but it does have a low number of units. Grizzly aesthetic and amazing lore, low cost, low medium time commitment. Fantastic starter army, easy to expand into.
Yeah,
yes, it's
dude.
in a rough spot competitively right now, but who cares? Like, new books happen, rules change. It's such a fun army to play. Also, just amazing lore, right?
Yes. Yeah, it's one of my favorites lore-wise.
Yeah. Tyler, thoughts on Flesh Eaters?
Yeah, you guys nailed it. Yeah. Great first army.
It's such a good first army. It's such a good, like, easy expansion army. Start collecting is fantastic. Get you so many options. I don't know what to say. Like, I did this army in 24 hours. There you go. That should tell you everything you need, right?
If you love ghouls, if you want to horde, I played Steve with Partners of War. He had Nagash and Morgaunt, all the ghouls. It was good.
Oh, that's cool.
Like, it was very anti 3.0. Like, totally the opposite of what we're accustomed to in 3.0. Yeah, stuff that doesn't die or they come back and just buckets of dice that he can do. He could have done 480 attacks against me in 2 activations. It's amazing. With a unit of 20 ghouls. It's like, what is happening? Anyway.
I love it. Yeah, I mean, awesome. I have a ton of ghouls too, because I think ghouls are super cool. Like, it's just a great thing. It's, again, I like hordes when I feel like they do something neat in the army, and I don't mind running them. Like clan rats, like ghouls. They're like...
Sorry, I said 280 attacks, but who's counting at that point? 140 times 2. Yeah, there we go.
200 and many. There you go. Okay. Yes. Night Haunt. Our spoopy boys, the ghosts. Limited playstyle options, though more recently with the Nagash change.
That's true.
Low to medium number of units. A extremely highly rated spoopy aesthetic. Like, ghosts win almost every time we do an aesthetic survey. Medium cost, medium low time commitment. Doug says what to buy: the Night Haunt half of Soul Wars on eBay. Getting it on the table. Contrast is your friend. Yep. Totally agreed. Like, this is an army that just does so well. There's specific technical paints that are basically contrast paints, literally for this army. You got contrast, you got an airbrush, you got a painted army real fast.
Not
I told
even.
the story about Tom coming up and chilling with us for a couple days when we were doing our Golden Demon painting, and we all spent the whole weekend painting one model, and Tom painted a freaking army, assembled and painted an army.
Yeah.
That tells you right there everything you need to know, right?
They
So,
cover the full spectrum with Night Haunt. Great for beginners, medium skill, or if you want a challenge, Night Haunt is one of those armies that you can push yourself and try to get, that 4-1 or 5, maybe 5-0. If you're running the Gash, maybe that could be a potential 5-0 list. But yeah, it's so much potential within Night Haunt.
yep. And I agree on what was just said. If you find out for people selling the Mortal Realms magazines off, that was a lot of good source of Night Haunt. Yeah, as you said, Doug, the original half of Soul Wars, there actually is a pretty decent amount of ways to get secondhand Night Haunt. So
That's true.
the only reason I said medium low time commitment was because it depends on kind of what units you do. Some of them are a little more complex than others, and some if you're going like heavy chain rasps, then you might have like a couple big hordes you're doing, right? And like 60 models is still 60 models no matter how you cut it. So there we go. Okay, Ossiarch Bone Reapers. Limited playstyle option, the grind. Low to medium number of units. The bone and armor aesthetic, which I think is actually very confusing. It's kind of hard to paint those models because, like, what is their bone armor and what is them and what is their armor plate can get a little squidgy, I think. Medium to high cost, medium to high time commitment. Doug, what's your feeling on OBR?
I am so mixed. It's not an aesthetic for me. I was really excited for the idea of a more elite death army. And then when I first saw the models at Nova, which you were there for, like seeing them on 25s, I was like, oh, never mind.
Right.
Yeah.
Because we were all thinking they were going to be more elite, right?
Yeah. And so when I hear death constructs, I think something a little chonkier. So to answer your question, what do I think about them? I don't.
No, that's fair. I get it. Tyler, what about you?
Yeah, you really got to, like you said, you really got to like that particular play style. Like, I mean, I think right now it's like Arkan, the black, Catacross, hero to thrown in there, bunch of Mortek Guard, maybe a Necropolis Stalkers. I think they've probably been underrated in my opinion. Like they can do some more Necropolis Stalkers. Mortis Guard are not that great. But yeah, it's a little too staticky right now. I find them to be a little boring.
Yeah, I mean, if you're in your head, the playstyle you want is the shield wall formation. Like if you picture the Spartans holding at the hot gates, and that's what you want to experience. I mean, this army will do that. You will get that, right? That's what this is. So, okay, there you go. Like, and assumingly you're like, I would give it a couple weeks and see what this new Tome Celestial holds. That would be my only piece of advice.
Right.
Maybe see what's in that.
Death Riders are close.
Good.
So I was gonna say the Death Riders are close. Like they just need a little love. I mean, generally, just a War Scroll update would be nice. Like they have some. I'm not gonna make a pun. They have a good foundation in place with OBR. They just need to build on.
You were to say they got good bones. Why would you steer away from they've got good bones? Do not steer away from those puns in this show.
Move on.
Soulblight Gravelords. Medium playstyle options. Swarm, Monster, Ambush. All those are viable. Medium high number of units. Classic Creatures of the Night aesthetic. Medium cost. If you can find the Christmas battle box that came out, it's like way better because that box was incredibly good.
That's the rumor, yeah.
Like it was stupid good. So like if you can get your hands on that bad boy to start your army, thumbs up. That is 1,000 points in the bag in a great way for a great price. Medium time commitment. Again, responds well to newer paint techniques, to dirty, grimy, getting things on the table, getting them done. I like Soulblight a lot. I think it's just a cool army. Doug?
For me, depending on how you want to run them, because there are a lot of ways. Just be aware that like it could be a deep well in terms of a lot of models. If you want to go skeleton heavy, if you want to go Graveguard, that's definitely a great option. They're fantastic, and that'll help you reduce the number of models. But I mean, they can go anywhere from 21 models to 200. It feels like not really. That's a bit of an exaggeration.
No, I think that's exactly right. If you do 120 zombies is a viable list.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and then compared to like Blood Knights, I mean, there's
Right.
it's such a ridiculous gap. You can
Yeah.
do whatever you want.
They're like a lifetime faction to me. Like if you're looking for a faction that you can devote a decade to,
That's
this
true.
is one of those factions.
I agree.
Just go nuts. And yeah, collecting everything. You can play about everything right now. It has all of these different builds: Virkos, Castellai, Legion of Night, even Legion of Blood. Like they're all playable.
Virkos. It's got all these options. One of them is Virkos.
It is a very flexible book. Yes.
No, you did. I was just playing around because everybody plays it.
Yeah.
Sure, you're right.
So they put all the cool new models into one friggin' sub faction.
They did.
Lifetime faction.
I totally agree with that. And here's another good note about them. Curse City also contained a bunch of models for this faction. And since Curse City's coming back this year, and they've said Curse City's going to get expansions, that probably means at least a couple new models for this army also coming out as well. I don't think all the expansions will be Soul Blight. Some of it will be like additional heroes or additional weird monsters that aren't necessarily Soul Blight Gravelords, just like with Blackstone Fortress, right? But, like, this is an army that if you get on the train, you know you've probably got some expansions coming pretty soon this year.
Yep.
So, there you go.
Catch the fever.
Which can be nice. It's nice to know you're not just hanging out. Like, you've got stuff coming. That's cool. Alrighty. One more, boys. Destruction. Gloomspite gets medium playstyle options, swarm, elite, angry bouncy balls, medium to high number of units, varied aesthetic going from classic old world to new AOS sculpts. Medium cost, lots and lots of secondary options, available alternative sculpts, like, oh my god, so many in every way. Trolls, squigs, goblins, good lord, there's 8 million different goblins out there from every alternative company / 3D sculptor / anybody. Medium high time commitment depending on exactly what you pick, right? Like, if you just pick trolls, it's probably faster. If you decide you're doing all goblins and it's just hordes and hordes of little dudes, it's time. I mean, it's going to be time.
Yep.
This is the only destruction army I don't own. Doug, where do you stand on Gloomspite?
I actually kind of want to play them, but it is one of those factions that, because they kind of they were released not too far after the Beast of Chaos or before, around them, but like they started doing those, really leaning into like the 3 different allegiance ability type things.
Yeah.
And I just don't care for that. I mean, that's why with Beast of Chaos, I just went all Brayherd, just straight up. But they don't have that same, like, one of those sub factions has enough character and variety of play to be able to like get to do that with.
Yeah.
So I never really got into them. I think a Squig army would be super rad. I mean, it sounds fun, like capital F fun, but
Agreed.
You have to be really confident that that's what you're looking for before you jump into that one. How about that?
No, I think that's right. If your personality is you like a little bit of chaos ball, right? If you like to just seriously, if you're the type of Timmy that likes unexpected things, random things, that enjoys, it doesn't mind when things break against you, because the moments that are suddenly, whoa, that was super cool when that random thing happened. Yeah. I think Gloomspite, especially the Maws of Jork, can be an incredibly good army for you.
Yep.
Right? It's going to meet them.
Yeah.
But I will say there's a lot of people who think they're that kind of player and are not. And the second everything gets bad, it gets real not fun real fast.
Proxy test that army. Make sure you are that person.
Right.
Okay. Ogre Maw Tribes. Limited playstyle options, Meat Swarm or Monster Mash is the 2 I've identified. I like Meat Swarm. I was excited to be able to type Meat Swarm into a PowerPoint presentation. That doesn't end up on most of my professional PowerPoints I do for work.
Weird.
Yeah, I keep trying to work it in. Medium to high number of units, elite aesthetic and dad bods. Like it's an achievable male aesthetic. Medium to low cost, low time commitment. Ogres, to me, great first army, great second plus army, fun to play, I think Maw Tribes is a fantastic army. I think Kragnos opened a whole new world for them as well, in a
Yeah.
big way. Yeah, I mean, it's not a huge number of models. It feels pretty cool. Yeah, gluttons are kind of a unfortunate situation, or in a really unfortunate place right now, but there's still other options.
What's wrong with gluttons?
Because they come in a min 6 and they're on a 40 base with a 1-inch reach, so they have to heed the old stupid. They have to heed the stupid consistency, even though
Gotcha.
it's incredibly inconvenient for them. So
No,
like,
that makes perfect sense. I was thinking about it from like a what they do on the table, but that's different. It's like a in practice kind of thing. I get
yeah,
that.
you're taking a unit of 6 and you get 4 who are allowed to fight until 1 dies, then 5 get to fight. So there you go. But yeah, they're big. I like them. I guess insert Haywo here. Like I think ogres, like I said, especially with Kragnos, and
Yeah.
there's been some rumblings that they're going to get a new book this year. I could see it. To me, again, this would actually be my pick right now for second highest stonks behind Kragnos.
Really?
Okay.
Yep.
Same.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, the Beast Claw plus Kragnos, like the Krag trucks, those lists, they've got to be some of the cheapest 2,000 points you get on the table. Like
Oh my
Kragnos,
God,
160, $160 for Kragnos. You could do 2 of the Star Collecting
Here, we're
BCR.
gonna jump to it. Here, because you gave me some information, so I built a little
Yeah.
slide. So when you talk, we could just talk this through real fast. Krag trucks, right? You've got Kragnos, Frostlord on Stonehorn, Huskard on Stonehorn, 3x2 Mornfang. That cost is Kragnos for 160. This is all retail, so obviously this is without getting it cheaper and in USD. Kragnos 160, 2 BCR Star Collecting 180, and the optional Great Mob Pot for 40. Right? Like that's a deal right there. We're talking about a potentially $340 to $380 army.
And that's gonna get you some wins.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then you got the full on monster truck, the full on Krag truck version.
Kragnos more trucks. Yep.
More trucks, yeah. So that one's for Star Collecting boxes. Yeah, for the full on. Stonehorn Beast Riders, Thunder Tusk Beast Riders, yeah, Huskard and Stonehorn, Kragnos. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 models and a mob pot optional.
Yep.
And it's pretty. I mean, that's gonna be pretty good. Like
Yeah.
you're gonna run over some people with lots of mortal wounds on 3-6 charges.
Yep.
Do real good damage in combat.
Yeah, so I thought Krag Trucks was a great example because it is such an easy, low-cost army to get into. The painting is simple on ogres. They're big. They have well-defined muscle structure. They're very forgiving. They take contrast super well in like the monster's fur and all the stuff that they're wearing. They're just pleasurable to paint. They're fun to play. Stonks. My stonks are high on ogres right now. That's what I'm saying. Auric War Clans. Varied playstyle options amongst the 3 individual armies, because keep in mind that's 3 armies sitting underneath there effectively.
Yes. Yep.
Low number of units for each force, but high if you're trying to go big wah and catch it all, right? Like each army individually is not too large, but it's big if you're trying to be like, I collect war clans. Right?
Capital W.
Yes. Varied aesthetic because it's actually 3 armies in 1 book. Medium to low cost. Again, like this is another army that's not super expensive to collect. There are lots of good options out there. If you're talking about the Cruel Boys half of Dominion, you can find for a laugh and a giggle a lot of times on swap sites. There's plenty of Iron Jaws out there and around. You don't need that many Iron Jaws to make an army. So,
No, and that's great.
and then low time commitment. I have here in parens Bone Splitters are higher, just because it's so many troops for an army.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
Oh, someone asked in the chat earlier. I am getting my bone splitters back.
He's back in. Doug says, before you buy, choose a war clan and lean into it. And I agree. Don't try to play all of war clans. Pick a war clan. Pick a style. Figure out
even if
you
it's Big
want
Wah.
and lean into it. Sure.
Yeah.
Then just know what then it's going to be so important to figure out what your 2K list is.
Right?
Exactly.
Exactly.
Because like trying to build all the kits, everything, all of that, it's just too much. It's just too much.
But I will say it doesn't necessarily have the same battle line issue that like Skaven does. So if you like build 2 kits and you change your mind, it's not the end of the world for sure. Because then you'll just pick them up later when you do Big Wa. But yeah, for sure.
Yep.
We haven't said in a while, but I mean, yeah, that Iron Jaws list been 28 models. Yeah, very low model count. 10 brutes. Now 3 pigs because pigs need to go up. 2x5 art boys for screens. 2 cabbages. 2 cheerleaders. 2 war chanters. That is, and the sacrilege. I know, a weird knob shaman, so that I can actually cast Mystic Shield, because that's a thing in this game. That's pretty useful.
just jettison
Mystic
that.
Shield vents. Sure. Yeah. But
The best defense is a good offense. Mel the Cook on Alice.
Man, okay, we don't need to go on. They're just the perfect army. Iron Jaws.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they feel so good. It is just
Maybe too
perfection,
good,
perfection.
frankly, but yes.
Maybe too good. Oh my god, it's amazing. Anyway, okay.
So like I do think like Iron Jaws especially great first army. I think anything in War Clans can be a great second army. And I think they're a lot of fun. And by the way, all these armies are not too difficult to paint. Like it's,
Agreed.
Your time commitment. Like the orcs, if you're going bone splitters, it's a lot of contrast and it's great. Big muscle structure, you're good. If you're going cruel boys, yeah, they got stuff on them, but they're not overly complicated. When I first looked at them, I thought they were going to be so. After painting one, I was like, nah, this is a contrast dream come true. Fur, skin, metal, shield, like it matches so well, and you're done, and it looks great. They have good texture all over the place. It really takes well to sort of new painters. And Iron Jaws are great. It's like dry brush plus contrast equals stupidly good looking army.
Yeah.
It took me 5 days to paint Tyler's.
Right. A lot of people have been struggling with Cruel Boys trying to find competitive lists, but I mean, like, as usual, Kragnos plus X as far as destruction. Like, he works with about anything in destruction nowadays. Kragnos plus Bregaboss on Troggoths, multiple ones, and Bolt Boys, and then Hobgrots for screens. That's going to be a kick-ass army. That's going to get work done. You've got shooting, you've got screens. Yeah, you've got amazing. Maybe a couple shamans for Mortal Wound procking on your Breakabosses on Troggoths on 5s instead of just 6s. That army is going to do a lot of work, I would think. Anyway.
Yep. Last army, the Sons of Behemoth. Don't worry, I know I didn't talk about Legion of the First Prince. That's because it's not a real army. It doesn't exist and should never be recommended to anyone. But just in case, we're going to have somebody on the show in 2 weeks to talk about it and to defend it and talk about why it should be played.
So rude.
I think he's in the chat right now too. No, Legion of the First Prince.
That's awesome.
It's its own ball of wax. It needs its own show, so we're going to do a whole show about it. Sons of Behemoth, very limited playstyle option. I call this the REM playstyle because all they do is stand in the place where you are. That's it. That's just all they do, right? Very low number of units, but they do have that big giant energy aesthetic. If you like fairy tale dumb giants, then this is you're happy. Now, this can be an expensive army because each kit is somewhat expensive. We're talking about almost $200 US retail per giant, and you like buying 4 of them is $800 more or less without discount. However, there are a lot of alternative giants on the market, like a crazy number of alternative giants who are about the same size. So you can build this army for like less than $100 using those alternative sculpts. So that's a real difference, I would say. And low time commitment. I mean, it's painting 4 dudes. They're not hard. If you happen to have an airbrush, boy oh boy, are they fast. But
yeah. Do your game group a favor. Don't just bring like a G.I. Joe action figure and be like, it's a giant.
No, I mean like WizKids makes alternatives.
Yes,
lots of people make real alternatives, and there's a lot of good 3D sculpt alternatives out there too. So, yeah. Yep. Tyler, anything else on Sons?
Nope. They can still be disgusting. Yeah. Particularly now with Kragnos.
If you hate the concept of moving a lot of models, boy, have I got an army for you. 4 to 6 models. This is your army. That's the range. It's 4 or 6 models. Congratulations. Very easy.
No, they're an amazing, like, I've got to get a Season of War reference here at the end. So Cassidy's been playing some games, Jordan's wife, the amazing narrator for all of their videos. Cass has been playing Sons, getting into AOS,
Nice.
and it's a perfect starter army for that. Yeah,
Yep.
she smashed Jordan up and down real good.
Love it. All right. Well, gentlemen, that brings us to the end. Doug, anything we missed you want to leave everybody with?
No, not really. Other than just saying, like, if you just take a moment to think about, I think regardless of what army, whether it's 4 model giant army or 200 zombies, being able to remember what got you excited about it in the first place is the key to success when it comes to any of these projects. Because at the end of the day, they're all projects, whether they are hard projects or easy ones. They are an investment of time and money and that kind of stuff. And so, remembering why they bring you joy is going to see you enjoy them, whether they are in a good place rules wise or in a bad place rules wise. There's people who love Slanesh right now. They're having a grand old time because they just found what they like and stuck with it.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, I am one of those people who loves Slanesh, but we do what we must. Sometimes we must take pain for our god. That's the whole thing. Tyler, anything you want to leave everybody with?
Amen on what Doug said. It's been a pleasure hanging out with you gentlemen tonight.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that I hope what everybody takes home is that we gave a lot of different tips. I hope this gives people insights into the armies, how they play, the kinds of commitments you're going to be making, the costs, stuff like that. But there's tactics, employ them. Don't be afraid to proxy the thing, to build toward the thing, to start a Path to Glory League, to get working with other group members. There's lots of different things you can do to get yourself to a painted army and to get it on the table. You can do it. It is completely doable. So I believe in you. I hope these things help. I hope this helps if you made the resolution for a new year, new army. Doug, thank you so much, brother, for coming on the show. Thank you for being a trooper and taking it in the whole time.
No problem. And to Brian S.'s question, yes, I am 100% the Marie Kondo of Warhammer.
God, is that true? That is absolutely true. I think I said that exact thing to you in the past. I was like, Doug if it doesn't spark joy, it's gone.
Yes, yeah, I am the living definition of that meme of the cat with the newspaper and he just puts it down and says something random. That's me with I'm gonna sell everything I've ever worked on the last year.
All right, well, very good. Thank you, everyone. Hit like if you liked it. I hope this sound was better this time. Sorry about the cutting. I did figure out midway through what that was. You notice it didn't do it for a long time. I figured out what it was and stopped it. So there you go. Hopefully this has paid off. I'm going to keep messing with it a little and get it better. Hit like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. 2+ Tough is linked down in the description. Go hit up Doug's channel. Give him a sub if you haven't already. As always, thank you so much for watching. I very much appreciate it. And we'll see you next time.